Hey, this is Dean Wilson, and you're listening to the MOTOX Pod Show.
What's up, guys? It's Alex Ray, and you're listening to the MOTOX Pod Show.
Welcome to the MOTOX Pod Show, starring Darkside, his co-host Scotty, sometimes TJ.
Well, we are back. Feels like it's been a month. I think it's only been a couple weeks. Who knows? I've lost track of time. This is the MOTOX Pod Show, episode 242, brought to you by our title sponsor, Cherubies USA. For decades, Cherubies USA has been the leader in motoplastic and accessories. The products that fit perfect, look great, and last. Cherubies has what you need. Whether it's full plastic kits, individual pieces, handguards, chain guides and sliders, or anything else they offer, visit CherubiesUSA.com and support our title sponsor, and always try to let them know that you're listening to the show. Also on board, Racetech, which is the world's largest aftermarket suspension modification company. All Racetech products include award-winning gold valves, and settings are 100% guaranteed and made right here in the USA. Racetech also offers state-of-the-art precision engine services and parts to all engine builders. Visit racetech.com for more info and use promo code MOTOXPOD to save. Fly Racing's on board with us as always. X-Brand Goggles, Works Connection. Use that promo code MOTOXPOD20 at Works Connection. Get you an elite clutch perch. Get you a engine hour meter. I just put one on the YZ250. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Get you an engraved master cylinder cover with the MOTOX Pod Show logo and support the show. Also, Torque One Racing, our Jerky, best snacks on the planet. I'm still eating those, even though I'm sort of on a quote-unquote diet. I'll go with my R Jerky. You use that promo code MOTOXPOD21. Berm Lords Graphics and Jersey ID. You want your graphics lettered up? You want them to look bitchin' like mine with Eddie from Iron Maiden in the numbers? Well, there's only one place to go. It's Berm Lords. And they'll do your graphics, make your bike look brand new. Shock Socks for your fork seal protection. Williams Motor Works. Extreme Colors if you want a custom painted helmet. Blood Lubricants for the best oil on the market. The Barracuda Bloodline is out with multiple weights, better protection, better performance, and it lasts longer. WP Suspension guys, go to Power Band Racing. TruFusion Sports for your recovery. If you're an athlete like me, I've been using the soaks and the gels and all the different stuff for muscle pain over the last couple weeks as I've been cycling, or quote-unquote pedaling, as seems to be the industry way to say it, pedaling. And, of course, grill your ass off. Promo code MOTOXPOD. If you guys cook, grill out, you got to go to Grill Your Ass Off. Get you some chicken seasoning, some Mod Deuce for your steaks, Willie Pete's for chicken. There's the Claymore Cajun seasoning. It's all incredible. Hang on. Okay, anyway, this is, as I said, episode 242 of the MOTOX Pod Show. Scotty, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just, is it 242 or 241?
Should be 242, I believe. If it's 241, I screwed up. Or if it's 240, what'd you...
If one of us screwed up.
Why?
Because I put it 241 on the...
What's the graphics say that I gave you?
I don't know. 241
was Aaron Plessinger and Damon Bradshaw, so we're at 242. We can fix it later.
Mistake.
No worries. But anyway, what have you been up to
Man,
the last couple of weeks? I might have... You didn't know if you were going to be here because I think you had herpes?
Yeah, that's what it was. I had herpes syphilis last week. Yeah,
that sucks when that flares up.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You got to live with the choices that you made in life, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I had COVID last week. It was horrible, man. I hadn't had it this whole time, and
you never got it at all?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you had it. You just didn't have it bad.
No, I had gotten sick a couple times, thought I had it, but I never actually had it, and I'm glad that I had not had it before because it sucks, and now I can't taste stuff, and like I'm not on a diet. I do like food, and now I can't taste it, so that really sucks. but other than that, just been hanging out, trying to just keep promoting the show and just our sponsors and watch a lot of Loretta's. That's
the high point. You got sick at the perfect time.
Yeah, I got to watch Loretta's the whole time because I was sick.
Well, this episode 242, not 241, is full of Loretta's national champions.
So we have a slew of them.
Yeah. So first off, we're gonna have Shane McElrath, who did not win a Loretta's title this year or in his career, but he got a couple seconds. So Shane McElrath's gonna come on. He's gonna talk about his new gig, what happened. When I actually reached out to him, the Club MX thing hadn't been announced yet, but we'll talk about that. Avery Long is going to come in. He is the Blue Crew Amateur Rider of the Year, the AMA Amateur Rider of the Year. He won 2 championships in 450B and 450B Limited. Then we're going to have Kade Johnson on. He's a local East Texas kid. He is the champion for Mini Senior 2, 13 to 15. He's going to come on. He was on a few years ago. I had him on, but yeah, it's been a while. Then Sophia Phelps is going to come on. She's a 2-time women's motocross champion. And Kaden Braswell, who might have been the surprise of the whole thing.
Yeah, that
other than maybe like Cole Martinez, but Kaden Braswell was
just
amazing.
The way the whole pro classes went was pretty wild.
Yeah, he won 250 Pro Sport, and then got second in Open Pro Sport. So yeah, a lot of champions. It's going to be a fun show. A lot of amateur talking to the amateur kids. Yeah, what the future holds, etc. Before we get into that. Well, let's start with our X brand Lucid whole shot conversation. That's what this is. Talk a little bit about Loretta's. What was the biggest surprise? What stood out to you?
The most disappointing thing was probably Hymus. I just kept watching. I'm like, what?
I don't want to go with disappointing. Let's go with surprising.
Surprising?
Yeah, because I expected to be better. I mean,
I didn't know who Caden Braswell was going into this weekend, and now I know who he is. So that was
I'm sorry. I don't want to use the word disappointing with Chance. I wanted to use. It was surprising that he didn't do as well. Let's not say we're disappointed. I mean,
okay, no, you're right.
I'm trying to pull the negativity back a little bit on Chance because the kid can ride.
Well, not that I'm not trying to throw him under the bus or nothing. I expected.
Sounded like you just hate the kid. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Get him on the phone real quick.
I was really expecting a battle between him and Ryder. That's what I thought I was.
Sure.
When I sat there dying in my bed and I was watching the Loretta's, I was like, I was expecting to see just him. That was the only 2 names that I really knew about was Hymus and Ryder, and I figured they'd go 1-2, and it did not go that way.
Well, I mean, there was a few of those surprises. Like there was moments when Ryder was not in the lead.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? And same with Talon Hawkins. Like I thought I kind of expected a little more out of him, Evan Ferry, but. I'm going to talk about this in a wrap-up show tomorrow night because Steve brought a lot of the stuff. But, it's one race, right? 1 week. These kids, who knows, man, they put so much pressure on themselves. They go in, and sometimes mentally maybe it just screws them up.
Yeah.
And they don't ride their best. And, Ryder rode really well. He had a bike problem, had a few other little setbacks, a couple crashes. Chance, he obviously did not ride well, and he talked about that. Evan was sick. So who knows? There's so many. You can't go, oh, man, these guys are a disappointment or they're not going to be what we thought they were going to be because of this one race. It isn't that important or that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal when you go win it, but if you have a bad Loretta's, it's not the end of the world.
It's not. But as far as, as what surprised me the most, that was it for sure.
What about Brownie and Kiefer? Kiefer got worked.
Yeah, I mean,
he kind of knew he was going to get worked by Brownie there, but still, I thought he'd be closer than that.
Dude, Brownie's that dude's a freak. Like I remember even seeing him at the, he was at the Pro Challenge this last year.
Yeah, he's been a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of names there this year. I've definitely been there when there's more, but dude, he was like podium like almost every single race that he did, and it's like, doesn't make any sense that he can do that, but he did, and he shouldn't even. I don't even know why he was riding that plus 50 class. That's not even fair. Like, is there anybody that he didn't lap? I mean, I think.
Yeah, I you know what? That was Michael Gage, our buddy, told me like the first moto. He's like, hey, I didn't get lapped by Brownie. That was
so Michael was there.
Yeah, he got 13th overall, I think.
I mean, that's not terrible.
Not bad, considering he's one of those guys similar to Brownie where he doesn't really ever ride.
Yeah,
he doesn't now. Obviously, not the same level, but. He's like, he basically rides a couple times a year, and he was riding somebody else's bike, and he went out there and still got 13th.
That's not bad.
It's pretty good.
It blows my mind because when you're watching it on the feed, it doesn't look like, because you can't hear it. It's kind of like the sound's not really, it's not like a normal race coverage where you have like the microphone on every corner or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So you can't really hear it, and you're watching them go, and they all, everybody looks smooth, and then like you see a couple of clips of like on Instagram of like how of close up video, and then you hear how loud it was and like how fast they really are going, and then I watch guys like John Moeller, who is a local guy from around here, and I ride that plus 30 class with him, and we sign up, and that's about the closest that we are. Yeah,
John's fast.
Yeah, and he's fast, and then I see him like struggling to get like 10th or 11th, and I'm like, dude, like,
yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast those guys are.
How about, so I was absolutely cracking up when Weege and Kevin Kelly were announcing together. I was dying.
Yeah,
laughing.
Kevin Kelly's funny.
They were so funny together. But then I saw people that were like, "Oh, those two guys are the worst." I don't know. I would be perfectly happy if Weege and Kevin Kelly were the announcers for Nationals.
Kevin Kelly, he's definitely a character.
Dude,
that's for
they
sure.
were funny. I thought it was so good. I loved it. So that
I heard Weege was getting crap for the first day. He had the brace on, and then he didn't.
Yeah, and he talked about that on Pole last night.
I heard it.
They beat him down so much that he took it off, and he was wearing it at night in the beer tent, just because he had to get back to the tent or back to the cabin. Yeah, poor Weege. Let's talk a couple different things here. Paul Parabinos has been promoting the RaiseIt4USA.com for the golf tournament. They're raising funds for Team USA. It's a very expensive gathering. A lot of the money comes out, from the OEMs, and they got to raise some money to do this. So if you go to RaiseIt4USA.com, you can contribute to Team USA if you'd like. I apparently am going to play golf for the first time.
Yep.
In this tournament with a bunch of other people who have never played golf, so it ought to be very entertaining.
Yeah, y'all won't be holding anybody up or nothing.
No. I think Alex Gobert and Nick Still from Moto Limited and myself and then Michael Lindsay are going to be a team. And Michael said he's played a little bit, but barely, so it should be pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm going to have to give Darkside a couple of pointers.
I don't know how much that's going to help, but we can try. Yeah. We might. I mean, it's going to be a absolute.
So what you do is you hold the
show.
club in your hands, and then you tee the ball up. And
I think I'm just going to take a bat. I'm going to throw the golf ball in the wall and smash a golf ball.
Just coach pitch style, just toss it up and hit some dingers.
Usually what I do is I bounce it off the ground,
and then grab both hands.
And smash it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try that.
That'll work. I'm sure
anyway,
the golf course will love that.
Do some support to Team USA. RaiseIt4USA.com. Go help out the team.
What's probably funny is you're probably going to go to like a course that's nicer than anything I've ever played, and you have no idea what you're doing.
That's 100% probably the case.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't even know what club to pick, other than when I'm driving, I guess.
Yeah, Yeah. I'm
just gonna play with a putter and a sand wedge.
Hey, okay, so I had a buddy that he went and played with me one time.
I bet he did.
And I go drink a Coke.
If you guys are watching on YouTube and you see a flash of light, and next thing you know, Scotty's like laying on the ground.
Yeah,
I might have ripped his throat out.
Yeah,
I'm jonesing for a Coke right now.
Yeah, no caffeine.
It's been over a week. I need a Coke, so I might hurt Scotty tonight. Anyway, go ahead.
But he never plays. Played a couple of times. I went out and played with him, and he was at one point beating me because he was taking his driver, hitting a little bun out to the middle of the fairway, took a 3-wood, ran it up there, and then tried to putt it in as close as he could. And
is that English that you just spoke?
Yeah. So he was definitely playing he wasn't trying to play to be good. He was playing what he could do.
Yeah,
and
sure.
He's playing to his strengths. It almost worked.
I doubt I'll do that. Guys, this is the X-Brand Lucid Whole Shot Conversation. Visit xbrand.com. Go to your local dealership. Ask for X-Brand goggles distributed through WPS. The X-Brand Lucid goggle, the new one, was with the Wave Latch quick release lens system, race face 4-layer factory foam, Lucid extreme definition optics. Again, visit your local dealership. Ask for X-Brand through WPS. Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. Hopefully, Paul can raise a bunch of money to help out the team, make things easier. That's what we want to do. Let's see. This week, Unadilla's in a couple days, or less than a week.
Yeah.
My schedule's all mixed up right now because it with the new job.
Last time I
Everything's weird.
checked, they race on Saturdays.
Yep. So it's coming up. Dino's back. Mookie's back. Dylan Ferrandis is back. How much of an impact do those guys have?
On the
On the day.
I mean, obviously, you got to put those guys in the top 10. So,
All of them, you think?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. I mean, obviously, Dylan's going to win. He's still going to win the championship.
Yeah,
He'll win out. He'll be good.
Yeah, he's the 2022 Supercross championship as far as you're concerned, right?
Nah, that didn't work out so well.
But no, I mean, I think that it's everybody's battling for third anyway, so that 3rd through 10th battle, they'll be in that, and they'll make that part interesting. I don't think they have any effect on what Tomac and Sexton are doing. I mean, you put 2 guys in there that are actually fighting for something, and obviously they're just going to be at a level. They've proven that they're a level above everybody else right now, and that's what I'm most excited to see. I mean, glad to have those guys back, maybe a little more depth. I think that's good for the sport, obviously, but the championship is on, and I'm excited to see how that goes.
I'm pretty excited they're back. I feel bad for Dino. I think his career is starting to wind down, and he's kind of figuring that out, that it's coming to an end. He's going to try to enjoy these last 4. Then, of course, I'm a big Dylan Ferrandis fan, so I'm glad he'll be back. Let's talk about we try to rush through some things before the first guest of the night. Super Motocross.
Yeah.
I mean, this feels like it could be a Nintendo game in 1995.
Yeah, the title needs some work.
It could be, part 2 to Supercross the movie. It's not a very good branding name. It's not great.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be it's supposed to be like a
Motocross.
So you're supposed to take the best from the outdoors and the best from Supercross, and they're supposed to have like a little ultimate championship thing. I don't know much about it.
It's going to be some kind of. So I just blanked on what I'm looking for. Like
glad one is in Austin, so we can go to it
to get in. Yeah, and then there's an extra $10 million, three more races at the end of the season. I don't like it, man. I mean, yeah, okay. As a fan, great, it's more racing. As somebody that's sort of part of the industry now, like I feel like these guys need a break.
Yeah,
it's not a regular job where you work 5 days a week and you get your weekends off, and you work every week of the year pretty much. These guys are hard at it 7 days a week. 9 months out of the year. It's not right. I just don't think they should have another month of riding. Even if there is going to be extra weeks off throughout the season, they're not going to get to recover. They're not going to get to go with their family on a trip during that weekend off. They're going to be training for the next week. They're going to be riding. It's it's too much. I don't like it. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the idea. I don't think we need it.
Yeah, I mean,
like, if you can do some one-off races, that's fine. If these guys want to go race, they can. But to have it part of a series,
so basically, if you're good, you kind of have to do it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's an AMA sanctioned thing. Yeah,
it's part of the series. And I think there's going to be like a single champion or something. All the details aren't out, but
yeah, I mean, I'm always down for more racing. I think the concept of going to places like they were talking about, getting back in the Coliseum, and then going to the
Coliseum sucks.
Well, dude, you know that
unless they let them build a track on the field and not around the field like they used to.
If they can bring that peristyle jump in, I'm in. So in.
I don't know. Yeah, that was fine back in the 80s and 90s.
Them launching 90 miles an hour down.
The 450s are going to jump out into they're going to end up on the 50-yard line on accident. Somebody's going to whiskey off the thing and jump across the stadium.
It'd be a good way to test if there's extraterrestrial life out there, because they'll be jumping that far. Extraterrestrial life, because they'll be jumping that far into space.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't care about that Coliseum race, to be honest.
Well, you'll care
I like the Austin
race. You're about to say you'll care about that one, because you'll get to go to it easily.
Yeah, I might go to all of them. You don't tell me what I'm going to get to do.
Sorry.
Okay, you had some questions because we have not talked about the Vital gig.
Yeah, and some of the listeners wanted to know about that.
Well, we got about 10 minutes, so let's try to get into what do you want to know? What do they want to know?
So
it's full time now, man.
So when you wake up after your bike ride, and getting chased by dogs, and you come back, you take a shower, what is have this on my desk by the end of the day? Like, what do you have to do?
It depends. So 3 days a week, I have to do a bike of the day, which means going on the website, picking one of the forum members' post bikes that they built or their bikes or whatever. Excuse me, and I have to pick one of those. So that's just easy stuff. Every day I'm supposed to do a couple spotlights, which when you log on to the Vital homepage, you see the top features, the top news stories or whatever, things that we're spotlighting or featuring. I have to do a couple features or a couple of spotlights a day, which might be like, okay, Shane McElrath going to Club Mx today, got posted on YouTube, got posted on Instagram. I will share that through Vital. So it's just building a story, basically going in through the software and putting the pictures on.
Urgency on news.
Adding the caption, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I've got to do a few features, which are the interviews. Like tonight, we're going to talk to Shane McElrath.
Yeah.
I'm going to transcribe that interview. That will go up on Vital by the end of the week. Got to add a picture or multiple pictures. Got to put the audio into Adobe Premiere and turn it into like a separate podcast for Vital that will go on their YouTube channel. I have to build all that.
Yeah.
That's all new to me. I'm using this Mac that's sitting here in front of me. That's new. Using Adobe and Photoshop is all new.
World.
Yes, it is. So it's stuff that takes Michael like 10 minutes to do is taking me like an hour and a half. It's getting quicker.
Get there.
It's getting way quicker. I've made multiple mistakes. He'll call me daily and be like, hey, man, you did this wrong. You added this or the link's not right or whatever, and I have to fix it real quick.
Dude, yeah, I'm not very tech savvy, so power to you to try.
Yeah, he's being pretty patient. He's having to be pretty patient to walk me through a lot of this.
Yeah.
Because it is new to me, but yeah,
in a couple of months' time, it'll be
what it is, though. I have a list here. Like tomorrow, I've got a Grant Harlan interview that I've got to get out. I was supposed to do the Shane McElrath one Thursday. We'll probably do the Avery Long one Friday, and anything else that he might say. Hey, try to get this done. I did a bike build interview with one of the forum members that built a 2000 YZ250 McGrath replica bike.
That's awesome.
So I interviewed him
about
probably a month ago, and that went up today. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. And just in between though, it's nice because like I could run
it's just
town.
a bunch of
yeah, it's literally I'm sitting in front of the laptop probably 6-8 hours a day.
How do you,
eventually it won't be that long. It'll be a lot quicker.
Better than digging ditches though, right?
Oh heck yeah. Yeah, I don't miss that at all. It's been cool.
No
been
regrets.
And then of course, getting the travel. I'm driving out to Paula, which I guess I keep forgetting we haven't done a show since I've been back.
Yeah.
So while I was out there, and we'll probably have to get to some of this at the end of the show, I rode the 23 Husky 250F, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I was going to ride the 350, but it had a flat, and instead of us changing tubes, I was like, I'll just ride the 250. It's fine. But I am going to go pick the 350 up the weekend of Paula, and I'm going to bring it back, and I'll have that bike for a few months here in Texas.
I think you'll like a 350.
I do too, because I really like the 250, and just a little bit more power is going to make all the difference. Yeah. So that's going to be cool. I'm trying to run through some things that happened like while I've been gone. Oh, I got to ride the 23 CRF 450 because Michael was doing the bike release or whatever. He went out to Paula, factory Honda was out there, set the bike up for him. And at the end of the day, they were like, hey, do you want to ride it? Oh, I didn't know that was an option. Heck yeah. So they set it up for me, my weight, my speed, etc., or my slowness. And I went and I took 4 laps on it, and then we were ready to go. I was like, all right, I got a feel for it. I actually like the Husky better, but it was cool. It was pretty cool to have factory Honda out there, a tech.
Yeah,
and be like, hey, get it all ready for me. And it was pretty neat to experience that. So I got to experience some pretty cool stuff while in Cali with Vital, and I think it's going to be a lot more of that with his job.
Yeah, whoever was buying Dark Side stock a couple months ago, man, it is.
Man, somebody might have got rich if they
paying
bet on me.
Off, man.
I wish I'd bet in on myself. But that's kind of what's going on. Do they have any other questions? We've got approximately 5 minutes. Anything else they want to know?
Sportwood said for me to let me ride the 350.
Nah, I don't trust you. You might drain the oil.
Yeah, there's. Hold on, that oil bowl is way too tight. Let me go fix that real quick.
Loosen it up. The funny thing is, so with that 250, oh, you know what? Let's change subjects real fast. So my YZ250 got put back together. I got my suspension back from PDR, the Race Tech suspension shop, PDR Performance. I got to ride it this weekend at Master Pools. Went out, chased more, buddy, took some pictures, took some video. I'm going to try to get that stuff put together this weekend and over to Kiefer Inc. But the PDR suspension was amazing. When we got there, the track was just absolutely baked. It was like riding on concrete, so rough. So I was even slower than normal, but the suspension really soaked it up. It was really smooth, really plush.
The little clip that I saw of you was where I think it was somebody was filming Chase film you.
Oh, yeah.
One of his, I've met him before.
Yeah,
I've met.
and was it's not Darian.
Yeah,
Darian.
I think so, yeah.
Something like that.
Something like he's
really
cool.
cool dude.
Yeah, so I saw it and it sounded good.
Yeah, it sounded
like,
mean, dude. It sounded so mean. The suspension, like it was kind of on the braking bumps, it would kick a little hard on rebound, but I think it was just because I was going so slow. If I'd actually been going faster, it would have worked better.
Yeah.
But the bike felt good. The Michelin Star Cross 6 is hooked up. The graphics look good.
Look good, ride good, feel good.
I don't know how I rode well. I rode okay, but it was fun. I love the bike. I do want the 4-stroke though. But I got way more arm pump on the 2-stroke than the 4-stroke.
Oh yeah, because your clutch is just.
I rode 3 days in California, 3 separate days, and I would say close to 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour each time, and almost never got arm pump riding that 4-stroke out there. I don't know. That bike really fit me well. I was super comfortable. It was a lot of fun. I keep saying it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. So, you guys, if you aren't big Vital listeners or watchers, start going up there and checking out. Yeah, start checking out Vital. I'm posting stuff every day, as well as Michael Lindsay and Grant. They're all putting cool stuff up.
Was there any more discussion of what the MotoXpod show will look like?
Not really. We're going to have to wait a little bit on that. I mean, we're just going to have to wait till the end of the year and kind of figure it out.
As far as I'm aware of, we're pretty much nothing's changing until the end of the year.
I do know one of us is going to have to go. They're only keeping one of us.
My vote's you.
To keep me?
No, to get rid of
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You got to go, man.
Yeah. Well,
everybody knows that this is my studio and all the my hard work that's here.
100% true. 100% true. All right, let's take our first commercial break. We'll be back with Shane McElrath. All right, our first guest of the night is brought to you by Fly Racing. Fly Racing has been developing and innovating its gear line since 1998. Fly Racing is the only choice if you want the best. Just ask current riders Zach Osborne, RJ Hampshire, Damon Bradshaw, Justin Brayton, Carson Mumford, and many more. Check out your local dealership and ask for Fly Racing, as well as the endless list of products offered by WPS. Tonight, Fly Racing brings us a rider that recently actually just switched gear companies, but that's okay. It's a really great gear company. Our guy Shane McElrath is on the phone. And Shane, man, you just announced yesterday, I believe, a new deal.
Yeah, so I'm on team number 3 for the year, and I'm just making my way through the industry and getting to meet a lot of new people and get to work with people I've already known for a while, and just trying to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about a few of these things. So, you had the fill-in ride.
Mm-hmm.
With Factory Husky, and you knew it was probably supposed to be a 4-race deal. It turned into 8. Yep. But at the same time, you're currently 10th in points. I was quite surprised how things went down. Were you surprised at all that they did not keep you on?
Not really.
Okay.
A lot of people kind of said that same things, like, dude, there's no reason they shouldn't keep you on. And from the very beginning, I was filling in for Dean, and all year they've had an issue with having enough parts for the new model of their bike, and so it kind of came down to that. Also, they let me know, I think it was after Southwick, that I think that was round 7, that after. Yeah, so that was round 6, actually. And they said, hey, Malcolm and Dean are planning on coming back to race after the break. And so that was, like we had already discussed before that was kind of my deal, was like, it's fully contingent on Dean and Malcolm's health. And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. And, for me, it's like, yeah, thankfully it turned into 8 races, and then I ended up being top 10 in the championship, and which for me is big. I haven't finished a 450 series yet, and so I want to finish the year, whatever that looks like. But at the same time, like, that they have other obligations that they have to stick to. So I completely understand.
Yeah, you have a really good attitude about it. I think, with the way the Rocky Mountain deal went down, and then the fill-in ride at Husky and that going away with 4 to go, it'd be very easy for that to put you in a negative headspace.
Yeah. And honestly, that's for me, that's where my faith plays a big part of it. Cause I mean, we're in scripture, we're taught that Christ never changes. And I think it's a perfect example at really whatever goes on around us. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm getting to race, I'm getting to meet new people. I'm getting to, I mean, there's still so many opportunities out there that it doesn't really matter where I'm at. It's like, I'm happy to be here, and I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have, and probably the best way to look at it, and not easy for everybody. So yeah, that's pretty fantastic that you're able to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. So Shane, I kind of wanted to know what all factors went into the decision to join Club. Was there other offers, or is it just kind of, the opportunity came at a time where you needed it, or just kind of talk about what other factors that you went through in making this decision?
There wasn't really many factors. We had, so one of my mentors, he had kind of started putting a chip in my ear, before my time at Husky was done. And he was like, dude, I really think you need to finish outdoors. Whatever that looks like, he's like, I'll help you. But I really think you need to think about that. And by the time Washougal was over, I was like, dude, I'm ready to get to work. I want to finish outdoors, and I want to finish strong. And so we literally went straight to work and had some bikes lined up. Chisholm was actually going to sell us his spare bike that he has on the Rock River Semi, and we pretty much had everything lined up except wired the money. And I talked to Brandon. This was on the Friday after Washougal. I had a flight Saturday morning to go to California to get on the Yamaha and start riding. And I talked to Brandon late Thursday night, and he had mentioned Phil got hurt. And so we kind of spoke more in detail on Friday, and it was like, okay, Brandon was like, yeah, I mean, we can definitely put something together. So I'm like, all right, well, let me figure out my other sponsors, and I will get back to you. And by the end of the day, Friday, my manager had spoken to some of my other sponsors, and we were able to move pretty quick, and they were really great about it. So instead of flying to California on Saturday, I drove to South Carolina on Sunday and started riding.
That's a really cool thing that I hear from our sport a lot with the sponsors, especially when it's a guy like yourself or a privateer and they get an opportunity. Most of the sponsors are really good about going, hey, we know this is a good deal for you, and they let you out of whatever obligation you might have had. They're pretty understanding.
Yeah. And that's kind of the deal is like, my sponsors, that was really how I was making money to race outdoors, because I was just on a fill-in ride at Husky. So for me, it was like, okay, well, we have a little bit of income that we can put towards getting to the last 4 rounds. But my mentor, he was really stepping up, and he was ready to buy the bikes and stuff. And I was just going to be on stock bikes. But then, I mean, the way it worked out was like Club had a spot here, and it ended up working out perfect, because it was like, okay, well, we had already started doing a lot of work, but it was a quick transition to come here and get on the bike, and everything's done here at Club MX. So I've had now 3 days on the bike, and we're about ready to go race.
Plenty time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So when I first heard this, the first thing I thought of was like, well, the Yamaha would be good for him. Most of his success has come on a Yamaha. And I just wanted to know, do you feel Did you find comfort in going back to that platform, and what do you think about being back on the Yamaha?
100%. Yeah, it was not a very hard decision, especially like you said, looking back throughout my career. And it's like since I've turned or moved to the 450 class, it was like just struggling and getting hurt and just really getting beat down. And it's like, dude, I need to find some sort of familiarity and consistency here. And I mean, the Yamaha is making a good showing right now, and especially in stock form. So it's like, okay, well, we don't have much of an option here to go and be competitive with minimal time and minimal work. And so it honestly wasn't too hard of a decision, but it ended up working out pretty good with the club deal, because I'm not just on a stock bike anymore. Like
right.
I've got some good parts. So yeah, it was definitely trying to figure out, okay, we need to put our best foot forward here, and this is what that step was.
Now Scotty kind of talked about you being somewhat familiar with the platform of the Yamaha, but going from three different OEMs in one season, is that something that you struggle with at all, or are you pretty good at adjusting quickly?
I would say I've gotten pretty good at it. I mean, it's funny because since 2019, getting off KTMs, I went to Yamaha, then I went to Honda, and back to KTM, and Husqvarna,
right,
and now Yamaha. So I would say I could be a pretty good test rider and give feedback on a lot of different brands.
Yeah, maybe you come to work for Vital when you retire and do shootouts. Take Michael Lindsay's spot.
Yeah, honestly, I would say from bike to bike, it's an easy transition. Where it's really hard is that I would say that the next 10% of what it takes to race. That's honestly the hardest part. And,
right.
I mean, honestly, on the Husky, it took me 4 or 5 races before I actually felt like, okay, I'm actually learning this bike. So, getting on the Yamaha, it's been, really familiar straight away. And it's like, okay, I can kind of look back at my notes and back when I was on the Yamaha before, and Brandon here at Club MX, he's really smart with the bike, and just the kind of the experience that's here, it was super easy. It's like, okay, let's try this. And last week I only rode 2 days, and then I had quite a few days off to kind of sit down and think about, like, okay, we don't have a lot of time, but we need to make some big changes, and in what order do we make those changes? And yesterday, I only rode the turn track yesterday, but it was like, it's a pretty rough turn track, but we got a lot of those big changes out of the way yesterday on the turn track, to where today I rode the main track and actually did a day of training because I'd eliminated all those variables. So it's definitely a lot of work, and we definitely have some more to go, but I think with the time that we've had, we've honestly done really good with it. So I'm really excited about it.
You mentioned looking at your notes. Do you literally keep notes on the bikes you ride and setups and different things you change?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I go back and watch races on YouTube. I know quite a bit of stuff and watch quite a bit of stuff. I study all these different guys, and it's yeah. I mean, my wife jokes that we as racers, we can remember a single rock on a single track on a single lap, but we can't remember to I don't know, help our wives out around the house.
Yeah.
Or we can't remember other stuff. So
whatever she asked you to do today, you forget.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, that's typical. That's typical guy stuff right there.
Yeah.
So Does this kind of turn into? Is this purely a fill-in ride, or does this kind of turn into an opportunity for next year? I mean, one of our listeners mentioned that A-Mart's gone, so that kind of opens up some doors. Is you trying to turn this into an opportunity for next year, or is it purely just fill-in at this point?
That's a good question. Brandon and I spoke a little bit about that. We've been working on some stuff for World Supercross, and just some potential opportunities there, and just outdoors has been like front and center because it's obviously kind of going on right now. So, Brandon mentioned that Yamaha wants them to do a full-time 450 guy in-house for next year. And I told him, well, I'd definitely love to talk to you about that. But yeah, it's just kind of disregarded a little bit right now because of outdoors. But yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see. Right now, I'm taking over the new fill-in spot, and I'm kicking Nicoletti out. So I'm taking his name.
You better get rid of that black cloud that hangs over that position.
Nah, I'm not superstitious.
Okay, good. Yeah, right. You mentioned the World Supercross stuff. I had heard rumors that you might be working on something with Rick Ware Racing. Are there no truth to that?
We have been working on stuff with him, and we also have been in discussions with other people, a couple other teams too. We've had our plate full.
Yeah, sounds like it. There's a lot of things going on in the industry right now with the announcement of the Super Motocross series.
Super Motocross.
Yeah. I was joking. That sounds like a video game from 1990. For Nintendo.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cool things going on. I mean, a lot of different opportunities, things coming up. And what are your overall thoughts on the World Supercross? What they're trying to do with that?
Honestly, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to when they first started doing the Triple Crowns. It's like, okay, now we're seeing a little bit of change. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff we do is so repetitive that little changes in what we do gets us riders super excited because it's like, dude, we're doing something different. I know a lot of people have pushed to do Supercross only here in the States, especially a lot of really good people. Like later in their career, it's like, dude, I don't want to keep doing outdoors, and the OEMs are kind of looking for full-time guys. So it's I think it's definitely ruffling some feathers and stirring the pot a little bit, because I think the talk and everything is speaking for itself, and you kind of see the reactions of some people. So honestly, I'm pretty excited about it. I love opposition and going against the grain.
Yeah,
just because it keeps things exciting at times. So
with the Super Motocross thing, I guess the deal is there's 3 races later in the season. I think they're taking one away. It's only 2 more races, I believe, but 3 late in the season. And I was saying at the beginning of the show, like, as a fan, I want to see races all year long. But as somebody that's in the industry and becoming friends with some of you guys and seeing how it all works, I don't like it, because I think anybody that races the outdoor and Supercross season, they need that time. They need a week or 2 with their family, because you don't get that during the season. Like, what are your thoughts on them extending the length of the series?
Well, see, I think you nailed it on the head, because, I mean, just for myself and my wife and my family, it's like, dude, we've literally been moving here, moving there, doing this, doing that. It's like we literally don't get to do anything. It's like our whole life revolves around my racing. And Joy does a really good job she's in it 100%, but it's like, there's times where she wants to just go somewhere for a week, and I'm like, look, we can't plan that far ahead because we don't know what's going on. And so I mean, I want to celebrate our anniversary. It's like some of that stuff just doesn't, it sucks because it takes away so much from life. And I mean, dude, Monster Cup, I love that race, but well, I would say I've raced it twice. I loved racing it, but now it's like, dude, I love to watch it. I don't care to be out there, but I love watching it. And just like you, I love watching the racing, but it's like there's already pushback on doing anything extra in our series, either of our series now. And it's like, okay, we're going to put on a couple extra, but we're going to throw in a lot of money. It's like, dude, where's all that money been for our other series? Like the last 5 years or something. That's the part where it's like, dude, clearly this is the World Supercross has ruffled some feathers, and whether it's really been being worked on for 2 years or what, I mean, who knows, but it's, I think something has to change, especially in the information age. Things have to change, and it's, I think we're coming up on that really quick, and it'll be interesting to see really kind of what goes on.
I agree. And like the point one of the points I made is, yeah, okay, they give you an extra week off in between Supercross, because right now I think there's only 1 weekend off maybe during Supercross. I can't, or maybe 2. But
one weekend during Supercross.
Okay, so let's say they give you another one. Well, you know, a guy like yourself, a guy like Eli Tomac is not going to go, all right, well, that weekend we're going to go to the Bahamas. No, you're going to train, you're going to ride. Nothing changes. So, yeah, it's just, what you just said makes tons of sense. And I'm kind of against it. Even though I'm a fan of the sport, I'm kind of against the super motocross. But go ahead, Scotty. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, you had kind of mentioned this is Phil's ride. Have you had much interaction with him? When I picture it, I just see him with like a stick in the sand, like, you're braking here, you need to brake here. I just kind of wanted to know if you had much interaction with him.
No, I actually haven't seen him. It's probably because he's walking around with a fat lip from pouting, because he's just so upset.
Yeah, poor guy.
No, I know he had a big hit, and just kind of physically and mentally with his arm and stuff. So he doesn't live at Club anymore. I think he lives he lives somewhere around here, but I don't exactly know where that is. But he hasn't been out here, and I know when I first got here, he had just finished up surgery, so he was kind of recovering from that. But no, I haven't really got to talk to him yet, but we used to train here together. I mean, I would say we're pretty good friends.
That's cool.
Last question I have for you is just, I know your career's not over, and I don't mean to say that it is, but when you look back on it, just today, where it's at, like, how would you describe it in just a few words? Like, what does it mean to you?
A little bit bittersweet. I definitely took a lot of things for granted the first couple years. I would say 18, 19, and 20 were like, I was actually there and like all in, and kind of like, you know what, this is really like starting to kind of understand the business and understand the training. And now I feel I've definitely had a couple down years, but I feel like I'm the strongest that I've ever been. And I've had time to grow. I've had time to study, and I've missed out on a lot of bike time, but that is, that comes back with time. So, I'm excited about where we're at. And, I mean, that's what Joy and I, we pray all the time. Like, we don't know what God has in store for us, but we trust in him. And, we don't know what it looks like or where we're going, or, we're content in that. So, yeah, I would like to think I can race for another quite a few years, just like, I mean, Reed and Brayton and I mean, some of the guys that I grew up watching and now have been able to race against. I would like to think I could be one of those guys down the road, but we will see.
I actually do have one more question. We just wrapped up Loretta Lynn's. We have 4 national champions coming on tonight from Loretta's. You didn't win a championship that I'm aware of, but you got a bunch of seconds. You had some good races.
Yep.
What's your best memories of Loretta's?
Honestly, my best memories there were just being there with my family, and that was our vacation growing up. Is we would go. I mean, Minio's and Loretta's were the longer nationals, and we would kind of turn them into vacations. We would always go down on like Wednesday before Loretta's and hang out for a few days before the race started. And honestly, just like you get there and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I can't believe we're here. And then you're like super sad to leave because you're like, dude, this has came and went now, and it's just so crazy how the time goes. And so it's yeah, I would say just being there. Some of my best friends growing up, that was our hangout. It's like, oh dude, I get to go see my buddy that I haven't seen in months and race against him and come off and go jump in the creek and ride around on golf carts. And it just, yeah, it was a good time.
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you shared that with us. Well, Shane, congrats on the fill-in ride again. I'm glad you got something, you know, it's not the Kyle Chisholm bike and doing it on your own. You'd have still been out there going and being successful, but having some help from a team like Club, man, that's hard to beat.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's a good spot.
Well, good for you. I look forward to seeing how it goes this weekend, and good luck at Unadilla.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Shane, thanks
for
buddy.
having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Take care, man.
Take care.
No problem. See it.
All right. Thanks to Shane McElrath for coming on. Anything before we go to commercial break, Scotty? I can tell you that I literally told him before we started recording, I got to do this intro differently, and then I didn't. So I'm gonna have to re-record the intro.
So you just did.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, because I need to say, you know, part of Vital MX, and I totally spaced.
Yeah, well, just add it to your chores list later.
Yeah, I'll edit that before I put it up on Vital. But anyway, anything though before we go to break?
No, it's just, I love talking to him. He's so well-rounded and down to earth, and just got the sport needs more guys like that. And I just I wish all the best of success for him, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do on a Yamaha.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back with Avery Long. What's up, guys? We're back with the MotoX Pod Show, and this is Dark Side for Vital MX. Tonight, what we have, or for this feature article, we've got the 2022 Blue Crew Amateur Rider of the Year, 2022 AMA Amateur Racer of the Year, and the champion in the 450B and 450B limited class at Loretta Lynn's, Mr. Avery Long. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to meet you for the first time, even though it's not face-to-face. But Michael Lindsay and Chris Riesenberg, checkers at Racetech, have such high praise for you. I just couldn't say no to having you on. That's
awesome. They're both great dudes.
Yeah, Checkers talked to me yesterday for probably a half hour about how much he loves your family and how he thinks you're the best kid in the pits, like just personality wise, as a human being. He was a huge fan.
That's awesome. I love Checkers. He's such a great person to have a conversation with, and just kind of sit down and chat about moto and everything.
Well, let's get a little background on you. You're from Minnesota, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you Clay Olson with PDR. I think he helps you out quite a bit in the past. Yeah,
Clay's pretty much family with me by now.
Yeah, he did my suspension. I just got forks back for a YZ250 that he did, and they're pretty, or forks and a shock. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
All right, let's talk about Loretta's, man. I mean, going into this thing, did you think like you were going to be the guy coming away with 2 championships?
To be honest, I kind of went in there, kind kind of thinking that I could do pretty good, knowing that I could, podium every moto. But yeah, to walk away with 2 titles and 4 moto wins was something, I pretty much dreamed of since my first week or my first time to the ranch on 65s.
Yeah. So what you said podiums is what you thought you could do, but was that pretty much your expectations, is just consistently get on podiums and see how it worked out?
Yeah. I knew when you go down there, you got to be consistent. It's Loretta's. Everybody has bad luck, Yeah, but yeah, my bad luck this year happened first moto. I went down first lap before the 10 Commandments, and came from 30th to 2nd to pretty much save my championship hopes pretty much. And so that worked out, and so I came away with a title in that class. So that saved my butt a lot.
When you're coming from 30th to 2nd, do you realize how many guys you're passing at that point, or do you just you don't really know where you finished until it's over, or maybe somebody had a pit board, but like when you were passing that many people, you kind of get in a zone and don't necessarily know exactly how many you got?
Yeah, I knew, first few laps I made a bunch of passes, and then I think by the 3rd lap I was already in like 6th or 7th.
Oh, wow.
And I hadn't even seen halfway yet, and I was like, all right, I got more. I just got to keep digging, and just kept digging and digging, and came up to 2nd, I think, on lap 7 or something like that. And then, once I got into 2nd, I just kind of settled from there and rode her home. But yeah, it was definitely probably one of my best motos of the week by far.
That's cool. Before we get back into I should have talked about this first. So you live in Minnesota, and my understanding, talking to checkers, is that during the winter months, a lot of the times in your youth, you just didn't go race anywhere. And
yeah, I mean,
go ahead and tell us how that worked out.
I pretty much took from, I'd say, probably the end of October, middle to end of October, till about April. I pretty much took off all winter riding. I played basketball with all my friends in the wintertime on the high school team and stuff like that. Just trying to stay in shape and still have some fun. And I pretty much started riding the beginning of April when my school let us out for spring break. So my dad would take me and my 2 little brothers down to like Oklahoma, Texas area, and we'd ride down there for the week, and that pretty much kickstart our season.
Yeah, and then at some point, my understanding was your dad or somebody helped you with some bikes, and that what made it where your dad could maybe have a little extra money to send you to go train down south. And that's been in the last couple of years, right, where you did get to go down in the wintertime and ride?
Yep. So actually, Michael helped me out.
Michael Lindsay.
Yes, Michael Lindsay helped me out the end of the 2020 year, and then through the 2021, which being on his team allowed me to get out and be in California and ride out there and kind of ride all winter. So being able to do that was definitely an eye-opener to kind of what I was missing out on as a kid, and how much more hours I put on the bike was crazy over just those winter months.
Yeah, that's what I was interested in hearing, is how much of a difference did you see once you realized the extra work that needs to be put in, and like how that transition went, and once you realized, putting those hours in, what the difference could be made.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. Just the comfort I felt with my bike. There was a few years going into Loretta's where I had only had 40 hours on a bike going into Loretta's, where I put 40 hours on in a month and a half. So
Wow.
It was absolutely crazy to just kind of feel the difference in seat time and just kind of be more one with my bike.
Yeah, and you see the difference with the 2 championships.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so what I've noticed watching the Lorettas this year was that a lot of the kids with a lot of hype were doing the 250s mostly, especially in the B class. I just kind of wanted to know what all went into your decision to do the 450 class. I know you're bigger kids, so maybe size or the opportunity in that class. Just kind of talk about what made you decide to stick strictly 450.
Yeah. Well, one was I signed with the NSA Rock River team in May, and they were kind of looking for a 450 guy, and so after Freestone, they kind of Donnie Luce kind of seen something in me, and so they signed me, and yeah, so they pretty much were looking for someone that knew that, you know, could do good in the 450s. And also another reason was to kind of put my name out there, knowing that, you know, I had a great chance of doing really good in them. So it was kind of more of a way to get my name out rather than, you know, doing the 250 classes and, you know, maybe getting overlooked a little bit, you could say. But yeah, it was a great way to get my name out, and I feel like I did exactly that.
We're talking to Avery Long right now, brought to you tonight by Racetech. Racetech is the world's largest aftermarket suspension modification company. All Racetech products include award-winning gold valves, and settings are 100% guaranteed and made in the USA. Visit racetech.com for more info and use promo code MOTOXPOD to save. Yeah, so speaking of, you know, being in the B class, what are your goals moving forward? Will you move into the A class at some time soon? You know, do you have any teams reaching out? You know, you're with Rock River, right? That's what you said?
Yep, I'm with the NSA Rock River team.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure what my plans are kind of going forward. I'd love to go A, but I got the Ironman Combine coming up, so I get to hop on a 250 again and kind of go out there and show everybody that, you know, I'm not just a 450 guy.
That's not easy in that class, but with what we saw this week, yeah, I have full faith you're capable.
Thank you, sir.
Coming in under the radar a little bit, did that feel like there was less pressure than what you would imagine some of the other kids, like a Ryder D or a Chance or, you know, those guys? Do you feel like coming in under the radar was beneficial to you?
Yeah, for sure. I knew that I'd put in the work kind of going in, and that I was as prepared as I was going to be. And so, yeah, I was just kind of prepared for whatever happened. And yeah, I was blessed to come out with 2 titles.
Yeah, talking to Checkers, he talked about your riding style. He felt like it was pretty unique for an amateur rider, that you stand a lot, and he said you ride like a pro, a lot of momentum through the corners. What do you credit that to? Is that something that you feel like just comes naturally to you, or did it come from training? I know you've been training at Real Deal a little bit. Where did that technique come from?
You know, I'd say a little bit came naturally, but a lot of it I'd say would be credit to Rob and Kade at Real Deal. They both kind of preach the same thing. Rob really preaches the kind of ride the bike with your lower body, and I feel like I'm getting a lot better than that. Before I even started training, I pretty much had to put my foot out in every corner, and now just to feel comfortable with going through any corner I want with my feet on the pegs is huge, and I feel like that helped me accelerate my riding a ton.
Yeah, if you could get that down, like I have very little talent on a motorcycle. So when I was out in California a couple weeks ago, that was one of the drills that Michael had me doing, is like, keep your feet on the pegs, you know, ride 3 laps with your feet on the pegs, you know, ride 3 laps with no rear brake and no clutch, like trying to build those, the technique, which I don't have. So yeah, seeing you do that, it's pretty impressive, man.
Thank you.
So you kind of talked about this a little bit, but now that you have the success that you got at Loretta's, what are some of the things that you want to make sure that you do to get the most out of the opportunities that are going to come from that success?
Probably just work my hardest. show everybody that, you know, it wasn't really just a kind of a fluke thing, and that, you know, maybe that I didn't go up against the steepest competition, but, you know, I can do the same thing against some of that competition. But yeah, I'm pretty much just going to work my hardest and, yeah, kind of see where it goes from here.
Do you feel like you need to prove something at the combine?
Yes, I feel like if I could do really good at the combine on a 250, I feel like a lot more people would look my way.
Yeah, and I assume that's what you want to do for a career, right? You want to go pro.
Yes, sir.
Who do you look up to right now? Is there anybody that's in the series right now?
Dunge.
Well, I mean, is there anybody that's in the series right now that you kind of like, I would like to have that career or have that style or anything like that?
To have Dungy's career would be absolutely amazing.
Sure.
He's always I've always looked up to him since I was, you know, a little guy. And, yeah, he's just kind of been my idol since day one, pretty much.
Yeah, he's all right, I guess. What do you like to do when you're not doing moto? What do you do? What do you like? What's your hobby to maybe take your mind off the sport for a little bit?
I like golfing. I also,
Yes.
when I'm home, kind of in the fall, winter months a little bit, I love to hunt and fish. Just kind of spend time with my family and just kind of do some things that I'm not able to do all the time.
Yeah.
Due to training and stuff like that.
Scotty, this is a story I'll tell you so that I don't totally maybe embarrass him. But Checkers was telling me at the end of the week at Loretta's, you know, he's leaving or whatever, and the Team Yamaha, his team's over there tearing down the tent, and all the riders are gone pretty much. All the Rider D and Deegan, those guys aren't there tearing down the tent. But his family stayed and helped tear down the tent when, you know, he could have just left. It kind of shows you what kind of kid he is, I think.
Yeah. I think that showing this, from what I've heard on the show last night and everything, is that
they were talking about you on Pulp last night.
Yeah, that you're very humble, and I think that the sport needs that, absolutely. So I think it's cool that to see those values that you guys have.
Yeah, thank you. My dad always taught me, you know, growing up, that, you know, always offer a helping hand. Everybody could use a hand, and, you know, if they don't, the worst they can say is no. So
right.
that's kind of what I've been living off of.
Yeah, dude, you have no ego whatsoever. I like it.
I don't ever really want to leave Texas, and I'm definitely not a big cold fan. But from what every time I've talked to somebody from Minnesota, y'all just seem like the coolest, down to earth people. I don't see why Minnesota would be somewhere I would not want to go.
They call us Minnesota nice for a reason, right?
Yeah. Hey, so I was up there for Millville, and a husband and wife that I met just at Minneapolis Supercross, basically, they allowed me to stay at their house, drive from their house to the race. They gave me a place to stay, and then they decided to stay the night at the track and camp out for the Sunday race, for the amateur race. And they're like, yeah, just go back to our house. It's open. Stay there. Like, yeah, so nice. Like, it was insane. They're just good people. But what I did not like is from Millville back to Minneapolis, there's nothing. Everything closes at like 7 o'clock at night. It's like 1950 in the middle of the forest or something. There's just nothing going on.
Yeah, it's pretty outdated out in that area.
Yeah, I was like, I needed fuel and I needed food, and there was nothing open. So you don't really know what is going to happen with team-wise or whatever, but what about other amateur nationals? Are you going to do any more throughout the year? What are your race goals throughout the season, the rest of 2022?
Yeah, like I said, I got the combine coming up.
Yeah.
And then after that, I got to do Baja Brawl.
Okay.
I plan on doing Ponca, Minios for sure. And, yeah, just kind of keeping the ball rolling, going into them, and, yeah, kind of hoping for good results.
I like it. Anything else you want to tell us about yourself that we need to know that maybe I didn't think to ask?
I don't really think so, to be honest.
How comfortable are you doing these interviews?
I I don't know. I'm just a small town Minnesota boy, so I don't really get PR like this very often. So I'm definitely a little nervous, but you know, I'm getting over it.
Well, we're kind of small time. We're getting bigger, but yeah, at some point, if you keep winning races like that, you're going to be doing a lot of these. So you better start getting comfortable.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, Avery, man, it's really cool getting a chance to talk to you a little bit, get to know you a little bit, and I hope to see you continue to kick some butt, man. It's really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, I'm officially a fan after knowing just if Checker says you're good people, you're good people, and now after talking to you, it's obvious you are. So I'm a fan.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Avery, take care, man. Great talking to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. See ya. Avery Long. Yeah, man. Like, he didn't sound like a typical kid his age, right? He's just like not like a punk kid or,
Yeah.
you know, like stuck up or anything. Just really cool, really intelligent, well raised.
Yeah, and I feel like we're seeing a lot more and more of that, and I'm kind of glad to see that a lot of that success is coming to the kids that have that good background and that good mindset, and that people that just come in and throw a bunch of money at it aren't always getting all the spotlight and that getting all the credit, when guys like him are what makes the, you know, the backbone of the sport. People that are like he's like they were saying, like, you know, all the things that they sacrificed to get there, and like I'm glad to see hardworking kids like that are the ones getting these opportunities. That's cool.
I agree. Okay, what are your predictions for Unadilla? Give me your top 3 in each class.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chats. I missed the question.
Give me your top 3 for Unadilla. We got a few minutes before we get Kade on, so I want to get your top 3
450 class
for Unadilla for 450 and 250.
Well, I mean, Sexton and Tomac, don't know which order.
You can't give me an order?
I think that the Sexton will come back firing, and I don't know if he'll go 1-1, but
wins the overall though.
Yeah, I think he wins the overall. Tomac, then I guess that puts Tomac second, and then I'm gonna put. I don't know. I want to say Anderson, but I don't know how well Unadilla will really suit him. I will say somebody that I feel I need to see more of, that I thought that would kind of be that third place guy, was Barsha. I don't feel like we've seen him
off.
He has been off. I know he's gone through some things. I'd like to see him there, especially, you know, New York's his home race. I know he does well at Unadilla. He's had a lot of success there. So maybe Barsha, and then if not him, maybe one of the guys coming back like Ferrandis or Mookie, or I don't know if Mookie will be top 3, but
yeah, I'd say more likely Dylan.
Yeah, if you're gonna have to, if you want to pick one of the guys that's coming back, Dylan would probably be the highest pick. 250 class, I'm going to go. It's kind of the same thing that it has been. I don't. Maybe he doesn't go 1-1, but somehow Jet finds a way to win the overall again. I don't think that there's anybody that's really running with what Shimoda and the Lawrence brothers are doing right now. They kind of seem to be the class of the field. Do we see more of Justin Cooper? That's another guy that's his hometown track, so potential is there for him. But I'm going to go Jet, Hunter. You know, let's throw Jake Coop in third overall.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go Sexton, Eli, and I'm going to go Dylan. I got to. I got to stick with it. I mean, I'm not going to pick him to win, but yeah, I go Sexton, Eli, Dylan, and 250. Man, I guess I got to go Jet, J. Coop, Hunter.
Okay. I mean, Dylan's not going to come back not ready to go. Like,
well, his thumb was still bothering him a month ago, 3 weeks ago. So,
well, that was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, 3 weeks.
He's not going to be out there if he doesn't think that he can be up there. That's all I'm saying. Like, what's the point of? I mean, just to run the number one. I mean, they're not going to just bring him back just to do that if that's not going to do anything for the team.
You may be right. We're going to find out.
Yeah, I guess it's only one way to find out. I mean, it is a very Euro GP style track, so that gives him a benefit, I think. But yeah, I'm just glad that racing's back, and I'm this. I mean, when's the last time that we're what is this, round 9? When's the last time that we were round 9 with 5 points between the 450 guys? You know, I mean, that has happened a long time.
It's been a good season. It's been exciting. Yeah, I think
It's unfortunate that the hardest season it's been to watch the outdoors has been arguably one of the best seasons that we've had. Not great for the sport.
Yeah, I found it funny, and they kind of explained it last night, or Marks did, but like the fact that we got a full week of Loretta's, no problem.
Yeah, I know. They can just stream right along, no big deal.
Which Marks was mentioning, they just go straight to they go straight to YouTube. They don't have to have servers. Well, then why don't just watch the then MX Sports stream it straight to YouTube then?
Yes,
I don't know.
Something's gonna
it
happen.
wasn't that it worked pretty well.
I mean, they had what, like
couple
120 hours of streaming, no issues. Like
they had a couple of little issues, but
the whole time I watched it, it never did anything.
I feel like there was a couple times it messed up, but yeah, we just get Weege and Kevin Kelly to announce, and man, there's some news that I want to talk about, but I don't think it's official yet. But
I'm sure I don't know it anyway.
No,
so
you damn sure won't. There was something we talked about earlier, and you're like, oh, I don't remember what it was. You didn't know anything about it.
what was it?
I don't remember. Let's see if it was in my notes. I don't remember. There was something you didn't know anything about. I don't remember. Who knows? I mean, you don't pay any attention to our sport.
Yeah, I'm just just a guy in a chair.
You just show up here and try to get a free paycheck and don't know.
Earn my free free paycheck.
Free paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take another commercial break, and we will be back with Kade Johnson. All right, our next guest of the night is brought to you by Cherubies USA. For decades, Cherubies USA has been the leader in moto plastic and accessories for products that fit perfect, look great, and last. Cherubies has what you need. Whether it's full plastic kits, individual pieces, hand guards, chain guides and sliders, or anything else they offer, visit CherubieSUSA.com and support our title sponsor. Tonight, Cherubies USA brings us another Loretta Lynn's champion, Scotty. He is the mini senior 2, 13 to 15-year-old champion, Kade Johnson. What's up, buddy?
Nothing much. Just living life.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you remember. You came on the show, and it's probably been a couple years now. But
I was here, so it's within the last 2 years.
Okay, you were here. All right. So, Kade, how many podcasts have you done in your lifetime?
I don't know exactly, because some things you might not consider a podcast.
Yeah.
A podcast, but I would say probably about 3. So yeah, 3 or 4 maybe.
Do you like doing interviews and stuff like this? Is it cool?
Yeah, I love doing interviews. It's entertaining for me, and I love it.
Well, look, like I said, you're the mini senior 2 champion, 13 to 15-year-old. You went 1-1-5 at Loretta's. Give us a little rundown on your week. Obviously it went well, but what are your memories from it? What are your takeaways?
So in the first moto, I was like 35th on the start, and I was just clicking people away. I knew I was the fastest in the so I just kept going because I knew that track would kind of suit me pretty well. So I just kept going through the pack, and I eventually saw like 3 people in front of me, and I thought the leader was gonna and I thought whenever I'd pass that group I'd be in the lead, but I passed that group and I ended up in second. The leader was like gone, so I ended up second in that moto. And the second moto I got out like 15th place start, and then I just passed everyone and got to the lead. In the last moto, on the first lap my hands fell off my handlebars, and I went over the bars going over a berm because I missed my brakes, and I was in like 41st, and I came all the way back to 5th to clinch the title.
Was there a lot of panic when you went over the berm?
Not necessarily. I was kind of thinking, I was kind of just like, I need to win this. I really need to win this, and I just focused on myself. The first like half a lap, I was kind of all over the place after I got up, so I was like, I need to go, but I just kind of took 3 deep breaths and started clicking people off.
Yeah, you seem very mature for your age then, to be able to keep that level head and not kind of spike your heart rate and just panic. That's not normal for a kid your age, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of experience of in a situation like that, and I let the emotions get to me, or just having to go super hard. So I've kind of learned from experience, learned the hard way. But at the end of the day, I have learned it. So in those times, you have to attack, but you have to be smooth while you attack. So it's just like that.
That's pretty impressive from your kid your age, that you're even learning lessons. You know, most, again, your age, you just, I'm maybe being judgmental, or not. That's not the right word, but you know, just thinking a kid your age that is even actually learning these lessons and taking them and then applying them. That's really impressive also.
Yeah, for sure. I try to do what I can to win, and if I get off the moto and I can tell what I did wrong, and then I focus on fixing that for either training or for the next race. That's one less mistake that I'll make, and one less problem that I have to be focused on, and one less obstacle in my path to the pros.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, man. I didn't realize that you had an issue in that last moto and went off the track. I was watching your races, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna have to go. And so was there like pit boards telling you what place you had to get to? Because when we were watching it live on Racer TV, they were kind of doing the math, and one kid would get a spot, and then you'd get a spot, and it was kind of going back and forth. There was definitely a lot of drama in that one. Did you know a certain place that you had to get to?
Yes. So I did the calculations and all that before the motos. I was sitting pretty good. So all I had to get was fourth or better if the second place kid won. At the end of the day, he didn't win, but so he got second, so I was able to get fifth. But whenever I went down and I was just going through the first 2 laps, on the board on the screen, my dad couldn't even see what place I was in, so he was just guessing. And on the first lap I was in 29th, and he put 22nd, and I was like, oh yeah, but it turned out I wasn't that far up yet. But yeah, he kind of, I mean, in some of those laps I missed the pit board. I was just past the next person as fast as I can, and I'm going, and I'm pushing it until I get into the lead. I'm not gonna I was kind of in that situation. Unless I'm in the lead, I'm not going to really slow down because in case something else happens to me. But I ended up getting to fifth because the first 4 were together, and they were battling, and they were gone. So
yeah.
So it was kind of unfortunate on that. But yeah, but no, I didn't really know my placement. I was just kind of going.
So your Instagram says 58 AMA MX championships. Is that before this last week, or is that total what you have? Because either way, it's a ton.
I don't know.
Okay.
My mom updates that, so I don't know. Those are just like national races, like Daytona, Freestone, J7 Spring, whatchamacallit, Minios, Ponca, Baja Brawl, all those big races. Those are just from those, and I've accumulated them since like 2017 mainly. There's probably a few that we don't have that we're not counting for because when I was younger we didn't realize how important they were. But yeah.
So let me ask you, you obviously are a very talented kid. You're riding for the Yamaha NSA Rock River team. We just had Avery Long on, who also rides for that team. There's got to be starting to be a lot of maybe interest or hype from the industry on your talent and trying to point you in the right direction or what they think is the right direction. Do you feel any of that from Yamaha or from anybody, you know, that they're trying to put pressure on you or anything like that?
Not necessarily put pressure on me, but there's a ton of inputs from a whole bunch of different people trying to point me in certain directions that they think is the best, if that's bike or bike size or where I should train or just anything. Everyone puts their input on it and where I should go as I get a little bit older, now that things are getting a little bit more serious now. And so there's a lot of people putting a lot of input in that.
Does that, for you, does that take any of the fun out of it? Does it make it a little more of a job, or are you able to still separate and say, hey man, I'm still having fun riding my dirt bike?
Yeah. So for a lot of people, it makes it more of a job, but for me, it's not so much, and it's not necessarily I'm still able to ride my dirt. Like it's I love the training. I love putting in 20s. I love working out with my I love working out with my friends. I love just seeing progress and getting stronger, and I also I take some breaks after races. So if I train really hard, for example, now I trained really hard before Loretta's. I wasn't at my home for like a month or a little bit over a month. I wasn't able to hang out with any of my friends. I was just training. And after Loretta's, I'm gonna take like 2 weeks off. So and so to keep it kind of fresh. But for the most part, I don't really get. I'm pretty fresh, and I'm loving training.
That's cool.
So it seemed like y'all's strategy was I noticed that you race this I can't even talk. The class that you won.
Mini Senior 2.
Mini Senior 2, yeah. And then there's so many of those classes, it kind of gets
Yeah.
confusing. But then I also saw that you were on the Super Mini, which is obviously the big wheel bike, a little more power. Was y'all's kind of expectations to do one class where, the goal is obviously to win, and then do another class where you kind of learn from, and then what did you learn from the bigger class?
Yeah, so that whole situation was kind of a jamble of what we were going to do. We were considering doing 2 Ceremonies or 285s, and we couldn't quite decide, so we decided to do both of them. But it was like you said, it was the mini senior class. At the end of the day, once we decided the classes, mini senior class was really to focus on winning, and Ceremony class was to just have fun, get a feel of the Ceremony, because I didn't get to ride it a ton, and just learn and ride with those bigger kids, because I love riding with kids who are faster than me. It improves my game, and it just makes me a lot. It makes me feel a lot better and faster. And I learned a lot. I learned how to be more aggressive in a lot of places, and how to the line choice, and just overall what the Ceremony class would a lot of tricks from the Ceremony class that the 85 class doesn't have.
Are there any kids that you race with consistently that are like your buddies?
I think all of them. There's really only like every kid on the line that I line against, I'm either friends with or really good friends with. There's only like 1 or 2 people that me and them just don't really mesh. But or there's like about 2 people that we don't mesh, and like 2 people that I don't know.
Okay.
But about 38 of those riders on the 42-person gate, I'm really good friends with, and once the helmets go on and we race, everyone knows that everyone's for themselves and there's no team. And then once we get off the track, we're all friends again. So most of the people are my friends.
Yeah, I bring this up because I'm one of those guys. I don't like the drama in the racing so much. I kind of wish, like, well, why can't everybody just get along? So I've known Ryder D for 6 years, 7 years, and he was little, and he was friends with like Jet Reynolds, obviously, and he's friends with Chance Hymas. And I always like to ask, like, how do you maintain that friendship as the pressures build, as it gets more serious, as it eventually becomes a job, and like try to maintain a friendship off the track? Because I think that's awesome. Like, I remember back in the day, like watching Travis Pastrana go race, and maybe he wouldn't win, but he'd be like, oh yeah, so and so won, and he was riding so awesome, and he's so good. I love that. Versus, I'm mad at this guy because he beat me or he ran me wide. I love the fact that maybe you can keep a friendship with a bunch of these guys and still battle and still bump elbows, and I think that's important. To me, that's way more fun to go race with your friends than race with your enemies.
For sure. Sometimes though, the only problem with that sometimes is whenever you're racing and you somewhat like that slight hesitation of not running your friend high. But at the end of the day, what you need to do is see yourself and go out there, and no matter what, if you see that number or the name on that back of the jersey, and your brain registers as friend, you got to register it as enemy on the track. And sometimes that's hard, but for the most part, it's pretty good. And sometimes I could see how some people can't really do that, because once it becomes a job and it's for money, people don't even want to be friends with you, because they're like, I would rather have money than friends. So but that's only a few people.
How old are you, Kade?
I'm 14.
Oh, were you already asked? I'm saying
no. Scotty, I'm just giving you crap because
Scotty's over here giving me crap. Let me give you a little backstory here, Kade. Yeah. So I've been doing this show for like 6 years. Scotty's been helping me for a couple years, and Glendale Supercross was his first race to go to as a media guy. And as we're walking around the pits, like every 30 seconds, it felt like
it was not that bad, Kade.
Scotty was like, "Hey, do you know how old Jason Anderson is? Hey, do you know how old Chase Sexton is? Hey, do you know?" That's the only question he asked me. It's like,
yeah.
So when I asked you how old he was, he just looked at me like I was an idiot, because I was so
can't ask age questions on this show.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to. But the reason I asked is you sound like you're 25 years old with your mature questions. Like, do you think your maturity comes from your raising, from your mom and dad? Because it sounds like they're really, really involved parents, really good parents, from what I gather. Or is it just who you are? You're just a mature kid.
I think a little bit of both. I come from a really good family, in my opinion. My not just my mom and dad, my grandparents, my aunt, uncle, all of them are pretty mature, and
That's good.
whenever you hang out with them a lot, it's pretty easy to catch on to some things they say.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think I have a little bit of natural maturity, but
I like this kid a lot.
Yeah. So we were talking about your maturity, and then I know that you have been one of the few kids that's at the level that you are that has decided to stay in school. And now that I guess you're going into what, 8th grade now? Well, I'm
ninth grade.
9th grade. So now that
Freshman.
now that you're doing high school, does that plan change, or do y'all plan on doing the entire high school as you have been actually going to school?
So actually, I homeschooled for 8th grade.
Okay.
But we were talking. We don't know for sure. We're kind of talking about it right now. We don't really know what we're gonna do, if we're gonna stay back out or if we can go in, because freshman year is a pretty important year because you're learning everything together with other people in high school together. So yeah. So we're not quite sure, but we probably, if we do go back to school, we probably will get out like at the end of high school, and then hopefully go pro. So yeah.
All right, Mom, if you're listening, plug your ears for just a second. Kade, if you don't go to high school, it's hard to pick up chicks, man. All the chicks are at school.
Oh no, there's plenty of chicks in motocross. I got
Kade coming in hot.
I got plenty. I got enough.
I went to school. I went to school in high school.
This is my new favorite kid, Ryder D. I'm sorry, buddy. Kade's my guy.
Kade, I went to school in Lindale. You're not missing much, buddy. I promise.
Where do you do most of your training?
So most of the time I ride at Quick's Motor Ranch. It's the same property that they have the Screen Ding Ding race on.
Yep.
But this summer I went to MTF with Colin Millsaps and Little Brian, and yeah. So I mainly train at Quick's, but for like 1 month this summer I went to MTF.
Scotty, is that where Doc was riding? Doc Smith? At Quick's?
Yeah, it's Regal. It's Regal's track.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's where Doc...
It was kind of funny to see like the top 5 in that mini senior 2 class. Y'all were like all Quick's moto guys. Like
there was a kid from Athens.
Yeah, Deco, or however you say his name is, Denon.
There was a lot of you. Deno, there was Justin Turner, and then there was me.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Texas kids. I saw that. That's pretty cool. Does Sean Hackley still help you out?
Senior.
Yep, Sean Hackley Senior is my mechanic.
Yep.
And then Sean Hackley Jr., I train with him a little bit once in a while.
Okay.
So, yep.
Sean's good people. What's something that Sean taught you? Anything that stands out?
I don't know if I should be leaking his secrets here, but but one of the main things that really helped me, that's actually pretty simple, is just learning to find and helping me see like lines that not normally I would see or average rider would see, just like flowing like a river. Like whenever water comes down, it goes to wherever is the lowest point, and it just and so kind of just flow like a river through the track. And just finding the best lines to do, and the main line choice.
Yeah, that showed in your racing. You did make a lot of outside passes, so that definitely showed.
Yeah, for sure. Loretta's especially, I found a lot of creative lines and outsides, insides, cut across. I felt like at Loretta's I had some pretty solid line choices.
You're about to say something.
Oh, well, I was gonna one final question, but if you got something, go ahead.
Yeah. So it looked like you're kind of transitioning to the Super Mini. That'll probably be what you race the next coming rounds of of Minios and then all that stuff again. Will probably be this year on Super Minis. But when do you want to start riding a 250, and when do you kind of see that happening?
Or a
125? So actually, we're kind of on the fence right now about if we should go super mini or go 125 right away.
Right.
So we might do like one race on a super mini, but we're considering doing 125 for mini O's. So we'll see. But yeah, 125 for probably this year, next year, and maybe one more year. I mean, everything really matters in how I grow.
Yeah.
If I stay like this, I'm gonna stay on it for 2 more years. So, but you know, everything just matters how I grow. If I need to, I might have to go 250 next year. So, we'll see how I grow. But for now, it's 125 or super mini.
Well, you just let me know if you want to spend some laps on a YZ250.
Okay, I'll let you know.
I got a YZ250
Yeah,
two-stroke.
I'm sure Yamaha wouldn't get him
needs
one.
somebody to blow the cobwebs out of it because I can't ride it fast enough. So, Kate, so I want to ask what you do just to step away from moto for a little bit. Like, what are your hobbies? And if you say golf, I'm going to hang up on you.
Yep. No. I mean, I do golf a little bit, but that's not my main.
Well,
hobby.
he lives at Hideaway, which is
Yeah, I'm just
prime
joking.
golf course. So
Yeah, me and my friends were actually riding to 7-Eleven today, and we went through the golf course on our bicycles. But
Nice.
I ride first off exercising, like working out and all that. That's one of my main hobbies. I like fishing a lot. In any real normal sport, like football, basketball, or flag football with my friends, not actual tackle, basketball, baseball. The only sport that I don't love is like soccer, but my friends really like it, so I play with them a lot with it. But I just play whatever. I really like all the sports. Sports are really cool for me. So anything that is a sport other than maybe soccer and baseball, I love it. So yeah.
Well, Kate, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight. I love your personality, man. I'm a big fan. That's a big thing to me when I watch people, when I become fans of racers, is personality, and you have a ton of it.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully I will see you around soon at I don't know where you're riding. If you do like the time I saw you was at South Central.
We're too slow. We don't like riding at Quick's Motor Ranch. I'll make it way too rough and hard for us.
Well,
so.
still, I want to go. I want to go watch him ride. So maybe we'll have to make a trip out there, and do a video or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be fun.
Well, Kate, thank you so much. Tell your mom and dad thank you for allowing you to come on. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It means a lot.
Okay, Kate, take care. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yep. Man, that was fun. I hate that. I'm super frustrated that the software quit again, but thankfully I had the backup. But that was Kade Johnson. Yeah, that kid is awesome.
Yeah, he's on it, man. His parents have done a really good job.
Yeah.
I've talked to his mom a little bit. They're super down to earth, and they're just thankful for everything that they get. And she does a great job of showing that through their social media. And his brand is going to be very, very strong when he makes it.
Yeah, I remember when I met him at South Central. I think it was that Halloween Jason Anderson race. I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And like I hadn't heard of him, but I wasn't really following the amateur scene enough. And maybe it was Doc or somebody was like, "Dude, you need to talk." Kade, he's got Yamaha support, and he was a really cool kid. Even then, that was like over a year ago. It had to be, maybe it was last Halloween. Maybe it was last year. I think it was last year when it was still South Central and Jason Anderson and the Team Pride event. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, super cool kid.
Yeah, super down to earth. For sure.
Okay, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with our last guest of the night, Kaden Braswell.
We got 2 more. We haven't talked to Sophia yet.
Wow, it's just getting late, so I missed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, usually we're already pretty much done
Check
right
this
now.
out. Hang on. We're going to take another commercial break, and we'll be back with Sophia Phelps. All right, here we go. All right, our next guest of the night is going to be brought to you tonight by Works Connection. Since the inception of Works Connection in 1989, Eric Phipps' goal has been to produce works-like products for the general public. Products like the industry standard Pro Launch Start Device, the Elite Clutch Perch, radiator braces, customized master cylinder covers, and much more. It's hard to imagine you not going to worksconnection.com so you too can have what the pros use. Use promo code MOTOXPOD20 to save. Tonight, Works Connection brings us 2-time women's motocross amateur national champion, Sophia Phelps. What's up, Sophia?
Not much. How about you?
Not a lot. Just doing the show, talking to a bunch of Loretta's champions tonight. We had Kade Johnson on, Avery Long, Kaden Braswell's coming on next, but super excited.
No way.
Yeah.
I get to be in that lineup?
You do.
Okay.
And of course, Shane McElrath was our first guest of the night. So
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel kind of cool now.
Well, you are kind of cool. So I first saw you on the podium after the first moto, and you were just talking about like how much you love your competitors. And then I saw Kiefer was like friends with you, and I was like, okay, this girl's got to be rad, because Kiefer's, even though Kiefer can be a butthole sometimes, he's one of my guys. So I was very, very impressed with just you as a personality, not even to mention your riding.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I mean, everything I said on the podium is true. And yeah, I think I did mention that Kiefer likes to give me a little bit of crap for getting along with my competitors so well. But I think they're all really fun. I think, honestly, everyone in the women's class gets along pretty well. I
think differently than Chris does on that kind of stuff. I was just telling Caden, I asked him about if he's friends with his competitors, and he said, like, I think
38 of them.
38 of the 40 he's friends with. So
okay.
But I love that. I've been friends with Ryder D for a long time, since he was, little, and I love that you can go battle with your friends, because I think racing your friends is way more fun than racing your enemies. And go out and lay it all out on the track, and then come back and hang out and talk smack. I think that is the joy of riding for me. So I love that you're friends with all these ladies, and it seems like it's pretty mutual in the women's group.
Yeah, for the most part, I think it is. And I agree that it is way more fun to battle with a friend versus someone who's just, if you're out there with someone who you're not friends with, I mean, man, if you're out there like almost, okay, I got to make sure I've got myself completely covered, or, they're going to T-bone me or whatever they're going to do, right? And maybe they won't do that, but with a friend, I mean, I came back from motos, and one of the motos, maybe the first moto or something, and Taylor said, hey, I didn't push you too hard over there, did I? I was like, oh no, you're totally fine. And the next moto I said the same thing to her, and she said, nah, you're good. So I think it's fun to have that friendly competition where you can push each other around, but still be friends off the track. I think that's a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, because post-race, you can talk to your friends and talk trash, and if it's someone that you don't like, then like there's no conversation. And most of us got into this sport just because it's fun. We're riding dirt bikes with our family or whatever, and and of course it becomes serious later on. But yeah, to be able to enjoy it with your friends and go battle with your friends, like I don't think there's anything better.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like you said, I didn't come into the sport to stress and worry and be angry all the time.
Sure.
I'm here to have a good time, and that's why, a good chunk of my training, I'll just go play around in the desert because that's what's fun. And I'm here to have a good time.
So give us some background. How did you get involved with dirt bikes to begin with? Was this dad?
Yeah. Yep. It was my dad. He rode mostly in his 20s. He raced a good bit just as a local pro. And then, when he and my mom were having kids, he wanted a son first so he could, ride with his son. And I'm the oldest child. So as the story goes, he was a little bit disappointed to have a girl, and, come to find out that I actually like to ride more than my siblings do. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, he just, he was encouraging the entire time, but never pushed it when I was a little kid. It was just, okay, if you want to go ride on Saturday, we totally can. And eventually I got pretty sick and tired of ballet, and I quit that, and I decided dirt bikes are way more up my alley. So, we started doing that a little bit more, and eventually some friends at our local track were like, hey, you guys could probably try for Loretta's. I bet she'd qualify. So in 2016 was the first time that we went for Loretta's and made it there.
And you were, at that time, were you riding a lot of moto or riding in the des? I think you said you rode some des.
Yeah, yep. So growing up, I basically just rode the desert. We didn't have a track in my hometown until I was probably like 10 or 11. And then we started riding the track more. But now my time is probably split evenly between the track and the desert, just because now I don't have a hometown track. Except for in the winter times, I'm really close to Mesquite MX, and they're only open in the winter. But
I think that's where Mathis, Scotty, rides. Is that close to Vegas, like within a couple hours?
Yeah, it's about an hour from Vegas. So Mathis has been up there a time or two.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about that place. So Yeah, I don't know. You probably don't know the story, but Kiefer took me riding the high des about a month or so ago, and I almost died.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I got dehydrated. The 2.5 hour ride or whatever to me felt like it was 8 hours. And yeah, when I got back, there was actually a picture of me going around that he was posting on Twitter where I looked like I was dying, and he thought it was really funny, and he used it for a few days where it kind of went viral almost. But he thought that was pretty funny. I did enjoy it though. I loved riding in the desert. I just haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah, oh man, it's so enjoyable. When I was younger, my dad, it was my favorite thing for my dad to just take me on a trail ride. So all the time I'm like, Dad, let's do a desert loop. He's like, man, we've run out of desert loops. We already did all of the desert loops today. But now that I'm old enough, my parents don't mind if I just take myself out. And if I have my fanny pack with my phone and water, then they don't bother me for however long I want to be out there and just go trailblaze a little bit.
Wow,
so
that scares
fun.
me. That actually scares me as a parent that you're going out by yourself. There's not a chance I would do that. I'm sure lots of people do it, but yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, well, I think my dad and I both know so we have two really good desert areas on either side of our town, and we both know them like the back of our hands. So if I can find a new place, that's really exciting for me to go explore it. And yeah, I don't know, they're very like opposite of helicopter parents. I'll have my phone die while I'm out on a mountain bike ride. In fact, I remember one time I was like 15, my phone died while I was on a mountain bike ride. I came home, or I found a friend and, called on her phone. I was like, I'm so sorry, Mom, my phone died. And she was like, oh, I didn't even know why you were calling me. Just come home whenever you're done. So they're so chill about everything. I think, they're very much like, God has a plan. So
yeah,
she'll figure her way out.
That's nice.
Yeah, so, now that you're a two-time champion in the WMX class at Loretta's, unfortunately, now that there's not a women's national series, and this is kind of the pinnacle of that, where do you want to go next, and where do you kind of see moto taking your career?
Man, that's a great question that I have been asked so many times in the past few days. And I wish I had a super solid answer for you, but, I was actually just talking to my dad about this. There's I've kind of come up with a handful of things that I haven't done in my amateur career and career in general. So we've kind of talked about those things, like kind of just bucket list items. I would love to try and do some pro nationals, kind of like what Jordan Jarvis has done. And I feel like I wouldn't need to do a lot, honestly. To get one done, or to qualify for one and race it would be awesome. Except saying that right now, I know I'd get hooked and I'd be like, I need to come back. So,
yeah.
So there's no way I would only do one, but, yeah, I don't really know. I'm starting my sophomore year of college here in a few weeks. So as much as I come up with all these fun things, I also am trying to keep focused on, I hate to say real life because dirt bikes are real life, but for women's motocross, they can only be so much of real life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually, obviously, I listened to Chris's podcast he did from the track, and you were on there at least once, as I recall. And then I watched Anton's video he did for Swap Moto Live, and you talked about the state of women's motocross. And I think I wrote your quote down here. Let me. You said it's like working nonstop towards a dead end. That's got to be really difficult, and it's a bummer. I've talked to Jordan numerous times on this show, and she had mentioned that maybe last year or the year before, her dad and somebody was trying to get the professional women's motocross thing going again, and it's just like it seems like nobody really, that the powers that be just seem to have no interest, and I don't get it, because as you talked about, like the heyday with Ashley and Jessica, those were some good races with the top couple. Like, it was really fun to watch. I enjoyed it. And there's some fast girls in the country, and I feel like they deserve a place to go race professionally.
Thank you. I appreciate your faith in us. And I agree that I think we had some really cool races going on then. And I know that an argument that a lot of the, promoters and whoever else, their argument is, okay, well, the women aren't as fast. They're not as fun to watch. I get that. However, I will say that the kind of like motocross media kind of decides where the attention goes, right? So like highlighting certain riders are definitely going to cause the attention to go different places. So if we, were to figure out a way to promote women's motocross in such a way that it's exciting, just like the men's, then I think our, attention as a sport could go in that direction. And then there are other, another thing about women not being as fast is like, okay, right now the women's motocross in amateur scene, we're not as fast is completely correct. I get that, and I get that we never will be quite as fast. But
yeah, don't say never. Don't say never.
Oh, you're right. I shouldn't. But I do understand, the differences between male and female athletes are pretty large. So I get that. And one big thing that I've been talking with a friend about is that women in a lot of ways can't dedicate all of their time to racing. So for example, like I said, I'm going into college this semester for my second year, and it's not an option for me to not start a career, in my eyes at least, because there's not going to be a career for me in motocross. So, or I don't see there being one currently. I shouldn't be so negative, but yeah, that's somewhere that I want to go with it, or that's something that I really want to do, is go to college. Now, if there was a great opening for me to go race in pro women's motocross, then I wouldn't be doing college this semester. I would be full-time training. And I think a lot of other women would be too. So in that respect, I think we would be a lot faster. But,
yeah.
There's a good chunk of us that are in school full-time or working or doing whatever else because motocross isn't going to pay the bills. So I think that's part of the reason why women are so far off the, so much
level.
slower than men, is partially
level.
because we can't train as much.
Yeah, it's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that. And yeah, it's not fair. That kind of sucks. Like I was sitting here thinking it'd be nice to know, even if, okay, well, maybe you don't get a professional career that goes very far, let's say, but maybe you have an industry job because of your ability and your
knowledge.
Well, your knowledge, but I was looking for like somebody that the other ladies can look up to, a role model, being a role model. Like there'd be a position open for you in the industry if you knew you had something like that, that maybe even then you could go train now. Like, let's just pick a company, one of your sponsors. I don't like, what do you wear up on? What boots do you wear?
I wear a Fox.
Okay, so let's say Fox says, "Hey, Sophia, right now we want you to focus on be the best female racer you can be for a couple of years, see how it goes, and when that time's up, we have a position for you here as a ambassador for women's motocross." Like that would be, why wouldn't these companies, Scotty, reach out and say, "Hey, these women, we want more girls to ride. Let's have women as role models that the girls can look up to."
I don't know why we don't do that, honestly.
Yeah, it's sad. It bums me out, Sophia. It really does.
That's actually a really good point. My dad, when we're talking about this, he has said so many times that the largest untapped market for motocross is female, which is true, because he talks about, okay, every rider has a mom or a sister or a girlfriend or a wife who's coming along, and why don't we try and advertise to them? It's always going to the men, which isn't bad, right? Because currently that's where the market sits. The market is facing the men. But man, if we tried to dig into the women's market, I would love to see more women out at the track. I think that would be so cool, because it's something that I'm passionate about, and I'm sure there are so many women that would just love if they give it a shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would really be cool if brands did that, like you said.
Yeah, like I think Feld made an attempt at it for a couple of years with Makeup to Mud, and they didn't do all women racers. There were some other, spots that weren't necessarily racers, but they were trying to bring some attention to women's riding, and then COVID happened and that went away, and then just didn't bring it back. But yeah. Are you getting attacked by a demon?
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
We just had a really irritating car drive by.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I beg your pardon.
That was pretty funny,
so
actually.
sorry.
No, don't.
Do you live next to Vin Diesel?
No, I live in a very quiet neighborhood. I don't know why they had to drive down the street.
Yeah.
Loud cars are so irritating. Sorry.
I would actually disagree.
It might be an unpopular opinion, but it is mine.
Okay, fair enough.
So, the big thing about Loretta, everybody talks about is the camaraderie with everybody and hanging out and seeing people that you don't get to see but that one time a year. And I just kind of wanted you to take through what was it like off the track this year, and what was maybe your favorite or most memorable moment outside of racing?
Man, there are so many good ones. Let's see. Okay, well, driving around, on pit bikes and golf carts is always really fun. This year we had a Rhino instead of a golf cart, so I was able to push our limits a little bit more, pass more people, got yelled at by a few more security guards and cops, so that was exciting. Let's see, that one. Oh, also due to that, we were able to ride through the mud a lot more, so that was good. I really like mudding in Area 3. I don't know if there's a lot of things that we did that definitely weren't allowed. So those were pretty exciting. Oh, okay. One of my favorites, though, was probably after my third moto. I had never gotten ice cream from the cone on top of the Stagecoach Hill.
I've heard about this. I've heard about it.
Yeah, and everyone is like, this is the best. And I think it's the best because the experience is pretty great.
Yeah.
But I had never done it. And I work with Tyler Hayes and Kenny Day at Fox, and Kenny Day said that he wanted to go up there, and I was like, okay, well, Gary gives me stomach problems, but I'll go after my last moto. So after my last moto, my Rocky Mountain filmer and my sister and I went over and we got Tyler and Kenny. Aiden Kiefer came with us. We ran up to the top of the hill and got ice cream. So that was pretty fun. That was good to pull the Fox guys away during intermission and go get ice cream.
Yeah, those are the experiences that you'll always remember.
Yes.
I want to ask you, so you won the championship last year, and I think, if I understood right, it wasn't really expected as much. Was there a difference coming into this year, like the feeling of expectations or challenges to go back and win again? Did you feel like you were going to win again? Like, how was it coming in this year versus last year?
Yeah, so last year I was not the favorite to win, I don't think by any means. But I had been, mentally telling myself, you can do this, you can win. So going in, I knew I had the speed, though I was pretty surprised that I pulled it off. This year, I knew that I had the speed because I had done it once. So it's like, okay, I can do it again. But there definitely was that increased pressure. A lot of people wanted me to run number one. But I thought, I was like, man, I might crack under that pressure because that's even more pressure.
Yeah, you talked about on Kiefer's thing, I think it was like they always say the red plate is heavy.
Yes, it is. So, yeah, there was more pressure, and I felt that. I don't know if the pressure is why I decided to tip over in 2 of my motos, but yes, it was there. I knew I could do it. I did not know that I could do it in the fashion that I did, though.
That's really cool. I have one more question for you, Scotty. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. So I believe, if I heard right, you're Mormon, correct?
Yeah. So I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mormon is kind of a slang term.
Okay. Oh, I apologize. Yeah. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good.
So with that background, and knowing the Kiefers the way I do they make you uncomfortable at all? Because I love them, but I could see that you being like, oh, that's a little strange. Right.
The Kiefers, so they're so good to me. They know their boundaries.
Yeah.
So I will say that I had kind of met Aiden. So the way that Aiden and I met is when we were actually wanting to protest him at a regional. So that's a great long story. But they invited me to come ride in Mesquite one day, and I had listened to a Kiefer podcast, and I really, just a few days before, I'm trying to remember, they had a female on the podcast, and I was like, oh, that's cool, I want to listen. It was the first time I'd listened to the Kiefer podcast, and he said some stuff on there that I was far from impressed with. Right? So, members of my church, a lot of them are way more chill about language and stuff, but man, sometimes it just irks me.
Okay.
Different language and just inappropriate stuff. You can ask the boys that I hang out with at the track, they know. But yeah, so, and I understand people can say whatever they want, but yeah, so he said some stuff that did not impress me, and we came to Mesquite the next day, and I I guess at the time I didn't realize like that Kiefer was kind of a big name in the sport, so I totally chewed him out for it, which I'm kind of embarrassed by now.
No, that's
but
awesome.
I told him, I was like, I don't remember exactly how the conversation started, but I just said, like, I listened to your podcast and I was not impressed. You said a lot of stuff that I didn't like. If I was the girl in the podcast, I would have hung up during the middle of your interview or whatever I said. Like, I chewed him out. And ever since then, we've been really good friends, and they are just so good about like language, and just they're so kind to me. So I really appreciate that. In fact, if you listen to the podcast I was on at Loretta's with them, it was very clean.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I think there was
awesome.
one moment where they were maybe they were talking about Brownie or something, and he said something about like Heather showing him her boobs or something.
Yeah.
And I remember going like, that's typical for them, but knowing that you were sitting there and hearing that that your background, I was like, ooh, I bet that made her uncomfortable. But if you're on the Kiefers at any time, any length of time, that's just how they are. Like, it's normal to them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I spent almost a week at Kiefer's house. Like I said, about a month ago, we rode the high des and all that. And yeah, they're the best people in the world. So
yes, they're just like genuine, kind people all the time. And I love it. So yeah, when they brought that up, I just kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, I mean, go figure. But
yeah.
If this is the worst I'm going to hear on the podcast, then so be it. Like, you know what? There could be so much worse that could be said. So yeah, and I really appreciate it because they really cleaned up the language and everything for me on there. So I think that just shows how kind and respectful they are.
Absolutely. Well, Sophia, it's been fantastic. You know what? Last thing I want to ask you about, I almost skipped this, was working with Kyle Lewis.
Yeah.
Just what's that like? What's the top 2 or 3 things that he helps you with?
Okay, let's see. He talks a lot about where your eyes should be while you're riding. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've picked up from him, that I've been working on. Yeah, so your eyes, and then just, there's a lot of different like body movement things that, okay, so that, coming in, you have to have your elbows up, and coming into a corner, you should push your body back or whatever, right? There's like the typical things, but he'll describe them in such a way that it's like, okay, you're going to weight this, or, twist your arm to do this or whatever. It's just very particular, which I really like, because sometimes people say, hey, you need to do more of whatever it is. And I'll say, how? And they're like, well, you just do it.
Oh,
but just do it sometimes is like, I'm like, can you just explain it better? I feel like if I ask him to explain it like more in depth, he will tell me exactly what I need to do. So I really appreciate that.
That's great. Let me ask you this then. So with the eye position, my eye position is straight down on my front fender so I can see what rut I'm going in. Is that correct?
So that's exactly wrong. If you can see your front fender at all, then you are probably a little bit off.
Yeah, I think I've been a little bit off my whole riding career. So how am I supposed to know that I'm not going to crash if I'm not looking at the rut that I'm trying to not crash in?
Oh, that's a good point. I'll go ask Kyle that one. I'll let you know what he says. Kyle's also really good with suspension. So yeah,
okay.
If there's one last thing I had to say, he is really, really good with that. So, I mean, just huge improvements so I've had Factory Connection do my suspension for the longest time, and they're incredible. But there are things that Kyle picks up on because he's able to watch me constantly. And then he'll call and tell them. So that's a really cool thing that I have, like almost like a middleman between my suspension guys and me riding, is his eye for suspension and the bike's reaction to riding.
That's great that you have that. He's been around a long time, so that's cool. Sophia, it has been absolutely a blast to talk to you. I'm really glad that Chris gave me your number. I didn't want to creep you out. I don't know if he even told you he was giving me your number, but I reached out to him right after, I think the day after you did the podcast. I was like, I need to get her on our show. So
thank you. Oh my gosh, that means so much to me.
No.
It wasn't creep at all. It's I was honestly very flattered that you wanted me on your show. So thank you so much.
Anytime, Sophia. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's a lot of fun watching you ride, and I hope to see big things come your way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Okay.
I hope so. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye. Have a good night.
You too. Bye. All right. What did you think of Sophia Phelps?
We stepped the game up as far as how good quality of people that have been champions this year.
Yeah,
I mean,
we've got a lot of champions on one show. I mean, I don't know how many. I'd have to do the math to see how many championships have been total on this show tonight.
yeah. Well, and none of them are coming from us, but
well, I've had like some night championships.
I won the 2-stroke vet class at the MotoMaster Series out of like 6 people.
All right, let's take our last break. We'll come back with Kaden Braswell, and then I'll eat.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, next up, our next guest is going to be brought to you by Blood Lubricants. Blood Lubricants were created to bring out the highest level of performance and protection for all types of racing. Whether you race moto, cross-country, side-by-sides, or even sprint cars, Blood Lubricants has a product for you. The new Barracuda Bloodline is out with multiple weights, better protection, better performance, and it lasts longer. Use promo code MOTOX to save. Tonight, Blood Lubricants brings us the 250 Pro Sport champ and the Open Pro Sport second-place finisher at Loretta Lynn's, Kaden Braswell. What's up, Kaden?
Nothing much. How's it going, Mr. Jamie?
Well, it's going
Scotty.
really well. It's going really well.
You didn't mention the best award that he got.
Oh, the Horizon winner.
Yes.
You're right. I did not mention that. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was a big honor to win that one. I'm dreaming since I first started coming to Loretta's about that award. I'm just so pumped.
Has it all set in yet? Because I feel like everything I've heard from any of the media people talking about it, like you are the biggest surprise of the week. Do you feel like you're the biggest surprise of the week, or did you believe in yourself that you could get this done?
Well, it's been a crazy year, if I'm being honest. I've always believed I can do the impossible, with God at my side. But no, I won Loretta's last year, so I'm not quite. I don't understand why it was such a huge surprise. I upset the Romano streak last year and won that Schoolboy 2 title.
That's true.
And then this year, yeah, it's been really, really rocky. I switched over from KTM to gas, and then just been, getting the bike dialed all year, training. We switched up training places. I went from where I was, and then I started training at Baker's. And then I trained at Baker's all year. And then right before Loretta's, I switched it up again just because I was starting to create some bad habits, I'm still young, so I needed a little bit more technical kind of training. Yeah. I needed to kind of just stay, persistent on that stuff, which I thought we did good with. Before Loretta's this year, I went back to Tyler's with Chase and Premier Sport Performances, a guy named Justin Boyd. He's real good. But no, I had nothing but good things to say about Alden. And then I felt like I was in the best shape of my life. Alden's real smart about all that. And then he got me into this little church group I thought was super fun. Still going now. I still talk to him and all that. But no, I was kind of surprised everybody thought I was a shocker at Loretta's, I'm glad I proved everybody wrong, and came out of nowhere. Felt a little bit like an underdog, which is always cool.
Yeah,
but
it's a good story.
No, I was so pumped on my performance at Loretta's. I really, half the week I didn't know who I was. Felt like God was acting through me. I prayed to him. I said, "Listen, I'll follow the yellow brick road. I ain't even gonna ask where we're going. Just take me where you want me. Let me be a light." So that was kind of my only goal throughout the week, was just to, show God through me with everybody else. Just wanted to be, I guess, a people pleaser. Work as a messenger, servant, to the hardworking people. But other than that, I was surprised. Everybody was so surprised about me being good, but nonetheless, I'm really happy with where I am. Being on the show is a big accomplishment and an awesome opportunity. I think the world of you guys. I just started listening to these Motopod shows about a year ago when I started doing these long road trips to the races. It's a great way to fill the time, and y'all always have such positive stuff to say. There's some shows out there that really dig into the negative, but even them, you can kind of learn something from it, So it's just really wherever you open your eyes to. And I really like this show. You guys do a really good job.
Well, that means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm honored that you listen. That's really fantastic. I want to ask you, so to expand on the, the surprise of the week things, that we've been saying, I guess, there's also like, you don't have, from what I understand, you don't have a lot of like major teams looking at you and trying to give you help or back you. Is that true? Or has that changed, or is that just bad information that I have?
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
You go in and you win the Horizon Award. There's a very short list of people that have done that, and then you kind of in my position. Not that people ain't looking, I have an amazing agent. He works for a lot of different riders, and I feel like he's doing a good job for me. He's working hard, but no, I really haven't heard a whole lot yet, and I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Normally you win the Horizon Award, and you're set up for your horizon. My horizon's kind of looking a little uncertain right now. I know, I can do great things with the people I have behind me, no matter where that takes me in life, but kind of, surprised with the moto industry. I feel like it's gotten so single focused on social media, like, Instagram fast or YouTube fast. Not saying that, there's not a lot of really good, fast people out there, but I feel like it's kind of, gotten blind to, I guess, the me or the Avery Long out there in the world, that we're fast. We're right there with them. I've grown up, everybody you hear of nowadays and more, we've all grown up racing. Me, Jet, Nick, Ryder. I mean, we all grew up together racing, and I know there's a few more in there I may be forgetting, but I mean, it's been battles ever since we were on 50. So to see it kind of separate the way it has, and different classes and all that, it's really neat, I guess, just to look at it and see where people are really trying to find that edge, because motocross and supercross, it's a very, cutthroat, jump through the gaps kind of world.
Sure.
It's really neat to see. Just, I guess, where you can go or what people do with it.
Yeah.
It's not
go ahead.
You can go.
I was just sitting here thinking about what we've been talking about, though, where you still aren't really getting the offers necessarily yet anyway. And I kind of like you being the underdog. Like I could see you being one of those guys. All right, well, maybe Star Yamaha doesn't come yelling, or maybe Troy Lee Designs doesn't come calling right away, but maybe you go do something else and you go show them boys how it's done and say, yeah, hey, you remember when you weren't thinking about me? Well, now you are, and I want more. I don't know, but like I could just see you being an underdog coming in, and you shouldn't be an underdog. It doesn't seem like at this point, but maybe you can go in there and change some things.
Yeah, I'll take a line out of Muhammad Ali's book right there, and I'll show you how great I am.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
So, you were kind of mentioning that you were surprised that everybody was kind of surprised that you had the success that you did this year. I think that a lot of that came from is that as far as the industry is concerned, I think it's kind of everybody's been watching Ryder D since he was 4 years old, and kind of been waiting for this year, and then it was kind of unexpected that he didn't win, everything, even though he had some bad luck go his way. But kind of just talk about, it's kind of a little bit of David beating Goliath, and kind of talk about what that means to you to kind of beat the guy that everybody's talking about being the next guy.
Yeah, I love Ryder and this family. I went to Australia with them. This year they're going to race Finland and whatnot, but I got to hang out with them quite a bit over our amateur career, and it's always been crazy, just how well they are at playing the game. I love Ryder. He's a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to see the bike troubles. It's never fun to win like that. It's always better, straight up or whatnot. But no, I do think it was really, really focused on Ryder. And then when I won, everybody was like, who's this? We didn't even know about this guy. We were so focused on this guy. We weren't paying attention to anybody else. But like you said, I think it's kind of crazy to me, but
yeah.
I'm pumped. No, nevertheless, there's pros and cons to it. don't necessarily like to win due to a bike malfunction or a big crash, but
part of it.
Very fortunate to have won. Nevertheless, I feel like I had a great team behind me. They all deserve it as much as anybody else. You know, they've worked so hard, just as I have. But I like to suffer. You know, that's part of the fun for me, is just to see how far I can take it. You know, when you get to that point where your body's saying no and your mind's got to break through, that's when you kind of open up and you just see everything a little bit more clearly. So, no, as far as that goes, I'm really, really just pumped to where I am, and glad all the hard work that everybody around me has put into me has paid off, and, you know, it makes them happy.
Yeah, and I think you kind of mentioned it a little while ago. You talked about like the social media presence, and that is a big deal in marketing and what teams' decisions are now. And maybe you're one of those quieter guys, and a kid like Ryder D has had a lot of hype for a lot of years. So maybe we have tunnel vision to a degree. We have a certain few kids that are like, oh, these are the next big thing. And that's something like Mathis has talked about. And, you know, like you can't base everything, the pro career, on what you see in the amateurs necessarily. There's a lot of kids that maybe don't have the best amateur careers or aren't the most hyped rider, but then they come into the pros and they mature differently, and then they're the guy. So yeah, it's something that the industry needs to open their eyes to, and they're trying to, I think.
I think so too. I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
You know, it's hard to pick a 65 rider, and then, you know, when the work gets hard, the hard get working, right?
Right.
Well, if he's been given everything since he was on a 65, he doesn't know what hard work is. He's got to learn that. And, you know, everybody thinks the days of someone coming onto the scene when they're, you know, like MC back in the day. He didn't start riding a dirt bike till he was like 17 years old.
Right.
But he was immediately a hard worker. And I think at this point in time in the sport, because it's crazy, you know, everybody in the amateur league, and I was the same way, my whole family, you know, you try so hard to get that amateur ride, but then once you have that amateur ride, you realize you could go buy your bikes and kind of be in the same spot. Like, there's nothing special done there unless you have a pro deal. You might as well do it yourself. I mean, it's really cool to have those supporters, and it makes you look real good, but ultimately, unless you have that pro deal, you're not going anywhere, you know. I have a friend, Thomas Welch.
Yeah.
He's a real cool dude. I've known him forever. He lived with me one summer, and we call him Whiskey Welch. He's one of my good buddies, but he just decided, hey, I'm going to go race pros, and he's done really good. I shouldn't say he surprised me, because I've always believed in him, but he's done extremely well. And I think that's kind of the way to go for someone who maybe might not be like in the spotlight, but is just as fast. I think until you can get into that pro league and show them, you know, like me, I've always been better at longer motos and rougher tracks. Like, a lot of tracks on the amateur circuit have gotten worse. Like, even Loretta's this year, that flood, it came through for 8 minutes. So everybody was really, really scared about the track and how much it changed. And I had a lot of people tell me, hey, Caden, that flood came through for 8 minutes. It didn't move stuff that far. Like, everybody's got a picture in their head of this flood coming through for a week, and it's just a river over the track and all this. It was one big surge of water for 8 minutes, and it destroyed a lot of things, but it didn't really wash anything like away, you know. It kind of just, you know, rattled it up a good bit. So the track, I think, still had a lot of that good dirt on it, but because it had baked, it got hard, and then they didn't rip it as deep this year, you know, because none of the big bike guys would complain about it or nothing. I talked to Tony Alessi, Mike's dad, because we had a problem with the starting gate this year. It would get these massive holes right out of the gate, but then be immediately hard.
Yeah, I heard
so
that.
Then there's just these big old potholes. Well, that's because it wasn't ripped deep. It was just soft right there from where they had to redo the gates. So the track this year was I think, a little bit more high speed than normal and choppy, you know, where we we did that Red Bud Combine. It wasn't like a pro track either. You know, the next day when we got to do the sight lap, the track was completely different. It was like a real rough, you know. That's the kind of stuff I feel like I like, and I think a few of these other amateur riders that ride, you know, maybe not at training facilities, but ride more rural areas. And I think as a rider, that's what you're wanting. You're looking for is more of like a rural area, an old sand pit or something you can make a track in. Something to teach you what real rough is. Like those MotoGP guys, those guys are gnarly. The tracks they practice on during the week is like, you don't walk around it. It is crazy. And that's the stuff I think is so much fun to ride on a dirt bike, or even Supercross. I got to dabble in Supercross last year, and you get to ride. You kind of just get into a flow, and I think that's what's so cool about, you know, dirt bikes is once you kind of get into that zone and that flow, it's not necessarily about the jumps or nothing like that, but just catching that flow and dissecting and breaking down. I think that's what makes it so cool, and I feel like I'm now getting sidetracked and at a completely different point. So
no, it's good though. It's good. It's good to get to know you a little bit. So I'm digging it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, so
sorry about that.
No,
you're good. So
you're perfectly fine.
This year was kind of interesting to see how many of the vet guys were kind of battling in there at the top 10. You know, Harrison and a couple of other guys, Cole Martinez and Alessi, and even Albertson was in there. So
Jimmy.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting to see that, and I just kind of wondered what it was like being in a battle with those guys compared to some of maybe the other guys the same age in your class, same age as you.
Yeah, them 450s are gnarly. Jimmy Albertson is just a wild man. No doubt about that. I gained a newfound respect for him. I always question, is he like Ronnie Mack or something? Like, I just don't know. Like,
yeah, he is.
And then kind of seeing his wild personality, I was like, man, something just seems close about those two. But
yeah,
no,
that's him.
He is a wild man. I like him. I have so much respect for him now after meeting him. You know, he got a good start and won the Open Pro Sport motos, and it was giving me a hard time. I was like, man, where did he come from? And that two-stroke sounds good. Like, I'm out there trying to race, and I'm like, man, that bike is pretty cool. This dude is good.
Yeah.
Who is he? You know? But no, those 450s made it difficult because they would get the starts, and then, you know, it's not like they're your average Joe or washed up guy. They're bad dudes. I mean, just to make it to Loretta's in that class is hard enough. And the fact that they've, you know, they basically came off the couch and raced it to get to Loretta's. So I don't even know how they did that. I mean, that just goes to show they're bad dude. But then the experience they have and the lessons they teach you on the track, like, I battled with Mitchell Harrison in that last moto for like 4 laps. Granted, I messed up and I let him back by me on accident. But, you know, you pass, not to throw anybody under the bus or make them look bad, but if you pass Ryder or Linville or Towers or even Chimus, like, you pass them and they're like, okay, he's faster, I'm going to ride behind him, see what he's doing, or they give up. When you pass those, I guess you call them vet dudes.
Yeah, the experienced guys.
When you pass an experienced guy, they go right back at you.
Yeah.
It's like all the A racing I've been doing this year. Them boys, they got children to feed. They got mortgages to pay. They're not messing around.
Right.
Like, it is a different kind of racing than you'll ever do. And I think Deegan's getting ready to find that out when he goes to get his you know, pro card or A license. I don't know what he's quite doing, but, you know, in the B class or even in the A class at races with the younger dudes, when you pass them, they yield, they give up, they have no fight in them. But when you pass one of those dudes that's, you know, they're racing for money, it is serious. They do not mess around, and I learned that really quick. I went to this Bird Moto race, first ever A race, and there's this guy named Jamal Porter. He's a nurse. Dude, he put it on me. I was like, and I was riding, I was probably 4 seconds a lap faster than him, but he was jumping off the track, and I was like, man, I ain't ever raced nothing like that. I ended up winning the race, but I was like, just baffled at what these guys will do for it. Like, I went to this Pro Circuit Open race. Michael Alessi won it. But, man, these jokers were cutting the track. I was like, what? And I don't like to cheat, but I was like, man, I gotta do something. I'm fixing. I can't even get my entry money back.
Right.
I'd be setting the fastest lap time and getting 10th.
That's
I'm like,
funny.
Something, and then that's where you really start learning. Like, you know, even though he might have held me up a lap or two where I couldn't go catch Cole, and I knew Cole was nervous. I kept seeing him look back, so I couldn't catch him. But the amount of stuff I learned riding with Heath and like just persevering and digging deep time after time after you pass this guy that you think slower than you, then he passes you back. Like normally you're like, whoa, and it kind of messes up your race.
Yeah.
You got to regroup. So I was pumped that I was able to regroup and dig deep and then pass him back. And then he bumped into me, and like most guys are like, oh, I ain't messing with him, he's sketchy. And then I went back after him and finally passed him, because then I had Linville all over me. I was like, oh man, these Yamahas, they sound gnarly from behind you. You know, you
Yeah.
got to get away from them. You don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But it's just the amount of regrouping I had to do in that one race alone. Coming from dead last, that was honestly probably the hardest race of the week. You know, I didn't think much about it, because I'd woke up that morning, all the dust from Loretta's had finally gotten to me, and it had my allergies all messed up. I couldn't breathe through my nose or nothing. I was like, Caden, just suffer through this last one and give it all you got, and that's all you can do, right? I started dead last with Ryder, and then he pushed me off the track. I was like, oh, man, this is just starting out grand, you know? And then I start passing these guys. The first moto, I was in the exact same situation, so I kind of knew what not to do. Like the first moto, I kept running into the back of guys because, you know, I'd look for the fastest one to kind of break through, and then I would jump through that gap, and then, you know, he would make a mistake or something. I'd run into him, and, you know, because I don't use my back brake like at all. So, you know, I ain't really stopping real fast once I get going. I'm all about like building the momentum and finding the flow. So that's the thing. That's something I need to work on as a rider, is kind of gaining a little bit more control as far as like coming through the pack. But you learn that with experience, you know, and not having done a whole lot of racing this year due to a few little injuries, I think that kind of had me a little off as far as the coming through the pack. So I was really pumped that I somehow managed to come through second. I was just talking to Jesus the whole time I was riding. I was like, Jesus, I don't feel real good. Can I get off yet? And I'll be like, well, I can get that guy right there. Jesus, help me get him. I'll go get him real quick. You know, I was just, and normally I'll be singing out there. I'll be like, another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust as I'm coming through the pack.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, just some crazy, crazy racing. And now you can kind of go back and watch it. And most years they're pretty like focused on their one guy on the TV, but this year it seemed like they covered a few more, and it was really cool to watch, like go back and watch the racing on Racer TV. And then I watched a podium speech, and then I was watching YouTube videos. I've never been over YouTube this much, so I was like, man, these are cool. I was watching all the little YouTube videos I was in.
Yeah, you've been all over.
Yeah, I ran into this one with this Cooksey Media guy.
Oh,
I was like, oh man, he did not say very nice things, but you know, looking at the video, and even the bad videos, like I said earlier, you can always pick something out that you can learn upon. And you know, I picked out a few things I could have learned upon from his video, you know. So I thought that was a pretty cool little learning experience, just to see. And I thought it was pretty cool that I had someone that didn't like me, you know. I thought that meant I was doing something right. I mean, it's really cool, and everybody loves you, thinks you're doing good.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you do it for. But when you see someone, not saying that he didn't like me, but he said, man, you got beat by an old dude. What are you doing? And I was like, I know, I didn't like that either, but that old dude is a bad dude. Let me tell you, he can ride. And you got the whole shot in that thing. He was gone.
I love it. I love all this. Yeah, I love everything you're saying. That was a great story. The whole thing, the way, like, I don't know if you listened to Pulp from last night, but that was a question that Steve kind of brought up on the show last night, was like, is it a good thing that these vets are out there and some of them are beating some of the top guys? You know, are the top amateurs? Is that good for their, and then Checkers from Race Tech, he said, yeah, I think it's a good thing, because, You know, they're going to learn to deal with battling with those guys and passing guys back and forth, and the guys are passing, not just giving up. You basically solidified everything that Checker said.
Yeah, Checkers is a smart man.
Yes,
Let
he
me
is.
tell you.
Yes, he is.
I don't know him, but I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I will pass that along. He's awesome. I got one more question for you that I want to ask. With being, you know, on the Austrian brands, Gas, how much time did you get to spend with Daniel Blair this last week?
I like Daniel Blair a lot. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with him. He was kind of stretched thin, you know. But I got to spend some time with him. We do this Orange Brigade camp every year.
Yep.
Sometime before Loretta's, and he came up to that, and he was kind of like our media guy, you know, and he taught me a lot. Like I really value his information. I think he's a smart dude. And I actually went walking with him to the track one morning. I woke up early, went for my run, came back, and then I was talking to him on my way to watch. I want to say it was Jeremy Fapini. He was racing Super Mini. He won. And we were on our way to go watch. And he had me talking about something. I forgot what I was talking about, but I was so into talking with him about something that I didn't even realize where we're going. Next thing I know, we're at the starting gate, and he had, like, I guess used me as a conversation to get over there. And I was like, man, this Joker is smart. I got to pay attention to what I say around him.
Yeah.
But, no, I really valued our time together. He's real smart. He breaks stuff down real good. And, you know, he lives up there in South Carolina by one of my buddies now. So it's cool to see everybody kind of getting along and see where he's at now. So,
yeah, definitely.
No, I like Daniel. Nothing but good things to say about him.
Awesome. Caden, it's been really a lot of fun to talk to you, man. You're very well spoken, very intelligent. I loved everything you had to say. It's pretty interesting to hear it from your vision or your standpoint of, you know, how the week went. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you having me on.
Well, we'll get you on again.
You some food now. I know you're hungry.
Yeah, I'm about to go heat some food up, and then I'm going to get back to work for a few hours. But thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing how your career progresses. And I hope you stay an underdog that keeps surprising people.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Hope to be on your show again one day.
Absolutely, Caden. Thanks, buddy.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too. See ya. Caden Braswell. What a surprise, man. Yeah. I mean,
is it just me, or did it just feel like we just talked to Michael Dean Gage for 20 minutes?
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Dude, that's the way he sounded, the way he talked, and everything was just like him.
Didn't even put that together.
Am I wrong though?
No. That
was cool.
I get what you're saying.
Some of the mannerisms and things that he said.
Yeah.
I think it's because you know him so well that you don't. It kind of is closer to.
I should have had him on the night too, but
I've only had a few conversations with him, but the little ones that I have, that's what it sounded like.
We had a full gate tonight, so
it was definitely wide.
Let's wrap this thing up so I can get some food. I want to thank Cherubies USA, Race Tech, Fly Racing, X Brand Goggles, Works Connection, Torque One Racing, R Jerky, Firm Lords Graphics and Jersey ID, Shock Socks, Williams Motor Works, Extreme Colors, Blood Lubricants, Power Band Racing, TruFusion Sports, Grill Your Ass Off, all on board. I want to thank Shane McElrath, Avery Long, Kade Johnson, Sophia Phelps, and Kaden Braswell. Scotty, I thank you, but I don't feel like it. So,
yeah, I don't matter.
Everybody listening, if you're still with us, I appreciate it. If you guys are listening to this post, thank you. Go to our Patreon, patreon.com page.
3-hour show.
Yeah, well, it'll be a little bit shorter once I edit, but it's pretty close. Patreon and support the show if you can. You can give, $5 a month. It goes a long way to helping out the show. Other than that, we're out, guys.
Later.